What up, Doe? One Pride. This is the ROTL UK podcast, the podcast where One Pride truly goes worldwide. My name is Anthony Fitzpatrick, and I am joined this evening by Ryan McCluskey and the returning Tom. We've not heard from you in a while. How's things going? How's life treating you? Hopefully all is good.
All is great. We've got Lions football, like real Lions football, almost. But I mean, enough to get excited about for sure.
Absolutely. It's training camps back here. This is going to be so much fun. The off-season just felt like it's dragged and dragged and dragged. Ryan, how are we doing this week? I know the football season got off to an inauspicious start there, but the Lions are nearly back, so we'll be able to make a go of it.
Yeah, less said about that, the better. I should have picked sports teams better. If I go back all those years ago, I might do things a little bit differently. But no, it's a very apprehensive time for me. I don't like pre-season because we just have that really unbad luck. So I'm just crossing my fingers this year. Pre-season games, it's hard to watch. I kind of watch through fingers sometimes because it worries me. But it's here. Like I said, training camp is here now, and a lot's going on.
I think as Lions fans now, we are at the point where we do press the refresh button while we know training camp is on frequently, and we're almost dreading the, oh my god, this guy's gone down injured, this has happened, that's happened. I mean, god, thankfully, so far, everyone mostly seems to be healthy, so there we go. If you're tuning in, you're just wondering why things are a little bit different this evening. Obviously, you only see me leading this when we do the college podcast, but our owner, Matthew Turner, he will be joining us very shortly. He's been at a job interview this evening. It's a very big thing for him, and I know that he was cutting it fine with that, so we thought we'll start. He'll be able to join us later on. Hopefully, he has got on very well with that, but until then, you've got us three handsome devils to deal with, so you know you're not exactly missing out on too much. Just to go through the housekeeping before we start here. Obviously, ROTL UK, we have a Discord channel. If you're not already part of it, please do come join. It's good fun. We have a lot of discussion in there. We'll give you a link if you want. We'll drop one in the description. Just let us know. Obviously, the college football podcast that myself and Ryan do, we are back later on this week. We're going through our conference preview schedules for 2022. This week we are looking at the Mountain West, one of our favourite conferences where you are either tough or you're bust. It's a very fun one to look for. And then obviously all the other bits. We've got part of Lions Nation Unite. Always remember to give that a check out. That's Herman Moore's fan-run app. Content made by the fans, for the fans. It is a very good laugh, and we do a lot of live streams and everything. You'll see us on there, so please do give them a follow. And also, we are a Twitch affiliate now, if you haven't already, and you feel like doing so, do sign up to us on Twitch. It does help us an awful lot there, and I know a lot of you have there already, so we really do appreciate all of you. We've had a few in the last few days. We had Tactical Tuner, Craig Machine 77, Justin Hecht 1992, LJ Beruff, and Matrix, and Big Aries 70 just 4 minutes ago resubscribed for 1 month at tier 1, been subscribed with us for 7 months. Thank you ever so much to anyone and everyone who gives us a follow on here. We really do appreciate it, and we'll just give a shout out to the guys in the chat as well. So in YouTube, Ken Stauder's here, Det Fanman is here, me and Tom are in there as well, Drew is in as well this evening. That second intro music you heard, I'm following the YouTube online, and that was sort of rebound music because I had that going off on my ears. I forgot to pause the stream. But thank you all for joining there, and in the chat on Twitch, Big Aries is in there with us as well. Oh god, 5 guys in Twitch this evening again. Thank you very much for joining us. Right, now we've got the housekeeping out the way. We'll get everyone back involved again. So today we are going to look through a little bit of Lions news that's happened during the week. We're going to have a look at some of the observations that have been coming out of training camp. And then to finish it off, for those of us who are sort of newer to us here, we're gonna have a little go through why we are Detroit Lions fans, and why, if you're not already and you're still deciding on an NFL team to choose, if you are a neutral fan listening to us, why the Lions are the place to go. But first off, we're going to go through the news, and we were talking the injury bug's not really hit us in training camp this week, but one guy who's not got going so far, and this is a worrying sort of development given the history of our second round picks in the draft, but rookie second rounder Josh Pascal, obviously our defensive lineman. It's come out that he's had core muscle surgery for a sports hernia in about mid-May. That was per Jeff Risdon at Lions Wire. Rehab is estimated at about 10 to 12 weeks, which makes mid-August sort of the return time for him there. But I mean, guys, kind of, how are we feeling about this? I know we had the exact same situation with Levi Onwuzurike last year. This is a college injury, one that they've sort of brought through into training camp in the spring, and they've exacerbated a bit, and then they've had to have some work done on it, sort of delaying their arrival into the team. Are we concerned at this point? Are we sort of lowering the expectations, or are we just glad that they've diagnosed it and they've got it out of the way?
I, for one, am glad he's had the surgery now. I hated the thought of him trying to put it off, trying to practice through it. Don't know where the hernia was roughly located in his body. But we've just seen through the likes of some players on the Lions, let's say, that have tried to play and practice through calcium deposits, which are large lumps that get in the way of ball joints and movement and cause pain. So a hernia is not fun to have. It can be very uncomfortable, very restricting. So it makes sense that he's bit the bullet. He decided to get rid of it now. It just means that we're going to have to ease him in very gradually. Like I said, the snap count is going to start very slowly, even when he is fully fit. And maybe middle to back end of the year is where we really start to push him on and throw him in, see how he comes on there. So I have tempered expectations. It's a position where, if we're talking four-man front, if you're talking the two inside interior defensive linemen, we're not exactly stacked right now, but we do need a bit of cover there. So the likes of Bruce Hector and Kaminsky, I think the guy who brought up the Falcons, it opens up the door for someone there to just carry a little depth over. So we won't be too short about him, but hopefully it's a speedy recovery.
Yeah, Kaminsky's been getting a bit of buzz, actually, which is good, and definitely opens up the door for him. It's frustrating because, again, second rounders, we've talked about many a time. But to Ryan's point, the fact it was done in mid-May is a big advantage because with hernias, quite often they get guys to try and play through them, unless it's really debilitating. And I don't want one of our guys just dealing with that for 16, 17 weeks. The fact that he's got it out of the way, I don't think we're going to see much of him, obviously, in training camp with the recovery. But a hernia in general, it's not something that you would be as worried about from a complication standpoint. When we talk about Levi, obviously, his back injury, backs are a lot more hard to work with. So as someone whose huge caveat was certainly not an NFL athlete, I had sports hernia surgery and it was about 3 months out before I was back to everything. So the hope is hopefully you can get back. He's going to be slow on the playbook, but I don't really think we're expecting him to make a huge impact in year one. He's there hopefully to fill some of the gaps from the veterans when they move on, either after this season or maybe a season later. So yes, we need him to get some reps. Hopefully he'll start making an impact second half of the season, but my expectations are relatively low for this season anyway for Pascal. I don't think that the team is dependent on him making a meaningful contribution.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that there. My expectations have sort of just gone down a little bit, just purely because we've kind of had sort of a roadmap of what happened with Levi last year. Obviously, the injury, he was a bit slow to come back, and then you've got to get him into the team, etc. But like I say, like both of you guys have said, the injury has been dealt with, and hopefully he's brought back in a manner that we're able to, we're able to get the best out of him. And if it takes some time, that's fine. It takes some time because we've got some depth there. We've got some depth. Like I say, Kaminsky is doing well. I'm still massively high on Demetrius Taylor. Still think he's going to make this team. So we can afford to bed him in a little bit. So Ash is with us on Twitch. He sort of asked us a question that's pertinent to this. He goes, who comes back first, Jameson Williams or Josh Pascal, and who's going to have the bigger impact right away? Obviously, Williams is coming off the bigger injury, but Pascal could be back sooner, impacting over more games. What do we reckon to that one? Jameson Williams, Josh Pascal, who's back quicker, who has more of an impact?
I think Williams will have a bigger impact. I think when you get him on the field eventually, he will get to speed quicker. I think he will fit in the offense quicker than Pascal will fit in that D line, where it's going to be a bit of a shock to the system because they're going to move him around a bit. He's going to have to be comfortable playing multiple positions, whereas Williams kind of knows the role. They're not going to risk him on special teams this year, not after coming off his injury. He may never play special teams again. We may put him in that kind of bubble wrap, but the way he's hungry, it's going to be really hard to keep him off the field. When he says he's healthy, if he's at like 80, 90%, I see him on the field in some sort of role. Trying to keep him tamed and caged is going to be really difficult. Whereas Pascal, I think he knows he's got a bit of a history, and he knows he needs to make, if he wants to make this team long term, that he can't afford to risk himself in that way, and he'll be a bit slower. So I think you might see Pascal on the field first, but I expect Williams to, the moment he does come back, be an instant impact. It'll be someone you look to very quickly for targets.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think just based on the injury timelines, whilst we don't know Jameson, all the little hints we're getting thinks he's not going to be there week one, and kind of why would you want him to be unless he's going to be fully good to go? So I think Pascal will probably take reps a little bit earlier. He's not really a flashy player in general, and just given the position he plays, I don't think he's going to be making lots of kind of splash plays unless you're really into the detail. Williams, assuming that he's healthy for the second half of the season, I think we'll be disappointed if we don't see flash plays, right? So, I think we're all excited to see him on the field. I'd expect him to have the bigger impact at the end. But yeah, let's wait and see.
Yeah, I put this up on Twitter the other day, but I don't think I've been as genuinely excited to see any prospect the Lions have drafted in quite some time. Just because, like you say, they're the big playability, the speed down the field. It's something we've not had. You know, with Kenny Golladay, he was great, but it was a contested catch situation. You would never see him outright burn anybody and stretch the field like that. So, yeah, I'm the same. I think Mitchell's gonna, Jameson Williams, is gonna be the guy who makes the big plays out of them both this year. Geordie Mansions joined us in the chat. He says, "What up, guys? What up, Doe, to you?" Good, sir. Don Burr says, "I think Iffy and Chris Board will surprise people. Possibly. We're going to talk about them both later because they're both pertinent to the camp chat." Geordie also goes, "I hope our D-line is good enough against the run to start the season, or else the Philly game will be tough." I don't know. I have my own views on this one. I think if a certain guy is going to be starting at corner, we're going to have different issues with Philly come week one, but we'll get into that. And then Debt Fanman says, "So 3 of the top 5 picks come into this season with injury. That's tough." Yes, they do. So, you know, we have to take that into account, but, you know, that's what these are guys we drafted. Hopefully it's not too bad with some of them. With J-Mo it is. Hopefully with Pascal he's starting the season soon. Also says, "Has anyone heard anything about James Mitchell?" Well, Mitchell has not been put on the PUP list. He's healthy. He got his ACL right at the start of last season, so I would expect him to come into camp fully healthy and battling for tight end 2, which I expect him to take. Stephen.
Hi, Steve.
The sexiest man in Scotland has joined us. Steve, how are you?
Have I missed a memo? Have we started already without me?
We started at 7:30. We said we were starting at 7:30 this week, but then Matt was late, but then we had lots of people waiting for us, and I didn't want to keep the people waiting, so... You know what
I think that memo's still in the carrier pigeon on the way up to Scotland. I've not received it yet. But hello, guys. Nice to see you.
But, you know, we sent a message by horse and everything. Did you not get it? That's what we do. Oh. Sorry. Well, you're here with us. You know, they say leave the best till last, so...
Apologies for being late. What have I missed?
Not actually much. We've been sort of chatting between us. We've mentioned, obviously, the news that came out about Josh Pascal, the injury. He's had hernia surgery a few months ago. He's due to be fit by mid-August. I mean, I don't know if you have anything you want to say about this one or add to it, but we're glad the injury has been dealt with, and hopefully he's going to come back, but maybe we're going to temper the expectations for him coming into this season.
What have I missed? I just presumed that you'd been laughing your asses off about Tevin Jenkins for the last 25 minutes.
Oh, yeah, I made the joke that he's been seen less times than the Loch Ness Monster recently, so, yeah.
Who's that? Who's Tevin Jenkins?
Exactly.
Is he Leroy?
Exactly one.
Is he Leroy's brother?
Chicago Bears second round draft pick and supposedly answered their offensive line problems last year, who missed all of last year through the injury, and now apparently doesn't like the new coaches.
Didn't hear that, because I was wondering if there was a clear story, so I just quickly Googled Tevin Jenkins, and it thoroughly pleases me to see the first headline, "What the heck is going on with Bears OT Tevin Jenkins?" What a good summary.
Oh yeah, apparently him and the OC don't like one another.
The Bears fandom are in meltdown about it, and it's quite wonderful.
Oh dear, Big Aries says, "Don't you send ravens there anymore?" I don't think the ravens really a thing we use of. That's more like a Game of Thrones like thing. But yeah, we get your point. It's an old mode of transport. Scotland is still in there. So
it's coming to Scotland, but winter doesn't normally start till at least the middle of September.
No. Well, we're getting there anyhow. Just a quick shout out to David Ryan for 69. He's just resubscribed at tier 1 to us. He's been subscribed to us for 5 months on Twitch. He says, "Hi, great to be here with you. Now, great to have you all with us." We've got a lot of people in Twitch and YouTube this evening. Thank you to all of you who are joining us. Sorry, I wasn't expecting to lead this pod tonight. I thought Matt would be here, so I've had to scramble at the last minute to get this all together, but thank you for joining us. So we'll move on to some other news now, and you know what they say in life, there are 3 certainties: death, taxes, and the Lions re-signing Darren Paulo as a backup tackle on this roster. He is back. Not really. I don't really like this. He wasn't great last year. I'm praying that Obinareze becomes good, but yeah, he's back for now, and we waived Natrez Patrick, the linebacker. I think we got him from the Rams off waivers. It was with an injury designation, but it came out that he wasn't injured. I think they waited till he was healthy and then they waived him, so they didn't have to place him on an injury settlement. Also, a few other bits of news. Friend of the podcast, Jason Kabinda, the superback, has been placed on the physically unable to perform list. CJ Moore and Dan Skipper went on the NFI list, the non-football injury list, although Dan Skipper has returned. I think he had a illness or virus of some form. And then we said, there hadn't been much in the way of injuries so far, but one guy who did go out down with an injury, which was really, really disheartening to see, was our undrafted free agent running back Greg Bell. He went down in a lot of pain on the pitch, apparently couldn't even sit on the buggy to take him off, so they had to carry him off, the 2 of them. And yeah, it's a hip injury. It's come out that he's got a hip/upper leg type injury, whatever it is. It doesn't sound healthy. I mean, there's a few little bits and bobs to dive into there, but if anyone wants to pick up on any of that, please go for that now. But yeah, thoughts to Greg Bell, and hopefully that injury is not too bad.
Oh, Darren Paulo. He played in the USFL. I think he was terrible. I'm pretty sure he played for the Tampa Bay Bandits, and he was also blocking for an ex-Lions quarterback in Jordan Ta'amu, and he still wasn't very good. I would trade Dan Skipper and Darren Paulo for like a 1998 Fiat 500. I genuinely think just sit that on the end of the line and just put it in run block. Good luck trying to get around that. It'd probably be more use.
I was going to say, for the 17th time this season already, why don't you tell us what you really think, Ryan?
Those 2, we recycle those 2 more than my recycling bins get collected. Every 2 weeks, at least one of them is back on the roster.
Maybe that's a good way for you to figure out when your bins are due. You just look for the announcement that Paulo's back on the team, and you're like, green bins today.
Ready-made reminder. I love it. I'm also thinking, with the car, if we do put a car out there, how are you going to do that? Is it going to be in reverse so it can kick step? Or you just handbrake on, making them go? There's so many parts to it.
And just put them in it.
And also a lot of differing legality about the issue as well. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's questionable, although some of the things we've put out there on the offensive line over the years have probably been pretty illegal as well. Some of the players have been that bad. I'm just getting to this next bit here, because this is a bit that we need to talk about.
I was just going to say that probably the biggest takeaway for me on training camp so far is if you rewind 12 months and go back to how we were kind of hit by so many injuries so early on in camp last season. The fact that, really bad for Greg Bell, but the fact that there's no other kind of names that are on the injury report that of any kind of long-term significance, I think is massively pleasing.
Yeah, I agree there. I think, they seem to be been very sensible with them this year. They've been ramping up the training bit by bit. They've said they've been taking it easy. I know Taylor Decker's been having days off, and he wasn't even injured towards the end of last year. But they've just been sensible, and that's good to see. So hopefully we can keep the injuries to the minimum and start the season with a fully fit roster, or as close to fully fit as can be, obviously, with the guys who are on PUP and whatnot.
Also, bravo to the NFL for only waiting 10 years to make mandatory skull caps on top of helmets. They've never been mandatory before this year to protect concussions, contusions, twisting of the neck. Now you have to wear them when the pad goes on and for the last 3 days before pads go on. So that is going to save a lot of injuries, I hope.
Yeah, agreed there. I know people go on about the looks of them and everything, but at the end of the day, the player's health is a lot more important, and it's off-season. We're not looking at pretty points for the uniforms or anything here, so it's good that they're involved there. Right, so the next bit that's come out this week, and this is going to cause a few points of contention, I know it does with me. So, 2 of our players officially have new positions. Or at least they're training in new positions in camp, but I think it's nearly official now. So Ifiatu Melifonwu, our cornerback from last season, he's moved to safety and is currently training at safety. And then on the flip side of that, we've traded a safety. I almost want to say he who shall not be named, but I kind of have to name him so people know what we're talking about. Obviously, Will Harris has made the transition from safety to cornerback, and as we're going to talk about in a bit as well, there is a chance that starting job might be his as well, and it pains me to say it. But, I mean, a lot of people have been predicting this for a while now. I can't remember in terms of the panel here whether any of you have already been on the trains for these sort of moves, but, I mean, what do we make of the moves? Is this sensible? Is this a sensible decision, or is this just kind of like we're trying to fit people in for the sake of trying to fit people in here? What do we think?
So starting with Harris, which is dangerous, I actually think it's great. The reason being, we've seen he's a disaster at safety, and I wouldn't really want him anywhere near the field at safety, right? And if we go back to a lot of his mistakes previously, it's not athletic talent, it's his ability to read the game, his ability to process, and it's busted coverages and things like that. Now, obviously, you can very much still bust coverages at corner, but it's a slightly different responsibility, and he still does have the athletic gifts. He will bring something slightly different, and with guys like Jerry Jacobs working back from injury and others, I personally quite like it. Now, if he is our starter week 1, week 2, week 3, and he gets burnt the whole time, then I will happily revisit that view. And unfortunately, all we've seen of Will Harris so far is getting burnt in various ways on the field. But all the early signs from camp are that he's selling in quite nicely. It looks like a battle between for him and Okuda for the other spot. So I know that a lot of people will be pretty upset if he beats out Okuda for that starting spot. It's not a bad indicator that he's taken to it well, though, if he does, because I think on this panel, at least, we're relatively high on Okuda and what we're looking forward to this year. So, yes, I would much rather a world where Okuda is our starting quarterback. But I also like the idea of Harris moving there rather than having to suffer him at safety any longer.
What do we reckon, guys?
Yeah. See, I love Okuda. I'm so happy that he's going to hopefully make this big comeback splash. But I suppose we've got to accept, like I said, he was never just going to get penciled in, like you say. As much as we love him, the mantle was just never going to be his to pick up again. He was never just going to walk on the field. He was never just going to be gifted this place. So, and as much as I'm not a fan of Harris, the people that are a fan of him are the ones that matter. Glenn and Pleasant really like him. And they are adamant in trying to fit him into this team some way and get him on the field. And I agree. Total liability at safety. Too slow to read when things were moving out. At the goal line was where it was worst because he could just not track in on across the field, getting towards the pylon. He just was in no man's land. At least giving him one receiver at corner is a little less for him to think about and more just instinct, more reaction. You don't have to think about what he's doing if he's picking up just the one guy instead of trying to decipher the play. So if it's slowing the game down for him and he can be a bit more aggressive and athletic, then that's fine. If it's good competition for Jeff, I'm totally fine with that. And Iffy at safety is a very interesting project. He's got that huge frame. He's good in coverage, like you say. I trust him when they're going to go over the top. Got nice long arms, and he's not the worst tackler. So Kirby Joseph's probably a long way off. So I feel a better three-man rotation right now would be Ife, Deshaun, and Tracy, while Kirby works his way in. So it's a nice bit of comfortability for him.
I think I've just felt a disturbance in the force, and it's coming from Twitch, and it's probably coming from Ash now you've slandered Kirby Joseph. But come on, Steve, back me up here. Pan this move, please.
I don't think this has got much significance for Okuda, because I'm kind of thinking that Okuda is a shoe-in for that corner 2 spot. I guess for me, this might have more significance for Jerry Jacobs' chance of making the roster when he is back from injury. As I think both Ryan and Tom made the point that, Harris on a man coverage is a lot less scary than Harris with lots of different, tracking different people across the field as safety. You would imagine as man coverage, he's going to be a little less exposed in terms of any positional or mental errors. I just want to see competition, and I think Jeff Risdon tweeted today, that at least Okuda versus Harris, the competition, it's not a case of who sucks least, but both of them are looking really good, and there is like a genuine camp battle there. So, but I kind of think in terms of our defence look, we're probably going to be playing a lot of three-corner three-corner schemes anyway. So I think there's probably room for them all.
See, I can't help but feel like if he's been screwed here, because I think Harris is getting moved, as has been said, because he did alright at corner. He's getting moved across, and they're trying to make a go of him. And if he's sort of the one who's having to suffer the move across to fit him in, because for me, I see Ifiatu Melifonwu as an outside corner. I like him as an outside corner. He grew on the job last year. He looked good, looking after some really good wide receivers, and I really liked his play at the position. And I'm just thinking, this feels like it's kind of a prisoner swap almost. And if he's getting the rough stick of it now at safety, obviously I think he's going to do well at safety. So really happy in terms of that. But I don't know. I just feel like outside corner is his position, and I don't like the fact that Harris is in there getting the shots because of him. But that's just me. I don't know. No one, everyone seems to want to give Harris a chance, so let's do it. Let's see what happens. But we'll talk about.
I don't.
All right, well, right.
It's competition. I've got a corner who I want to succeed, but that's because I'm totally biased.
Yeah, well, we're getting onto the training camp stuff soon, so we'll go into a bit more, and we'll come back to Harris later. We'll leave it for now. I'll just dive into the chat again before we move on. Joseph Austin has joined us this evening. He says, "Go Lions." Thank you for joining us on YouTube, sir. Drew is in the chat. He says this is a good move for Melifonwu, going to safety. I know, Drew knows his things, so if he says that he's going to be a good move for him, then, maybe it will be. I still like outside corner. He can maybe succeed at both, but, we'll see what goes on with that. Oh, by the way, if anyone's not checked it, Drew's podcast, the Casual GM podcast, had our own Matt Turner on it the other day. Got to hear an hour and a bit of him and Matt agreeing with everything about one another and upsetting me a lot. So go and give it a listen if you do want to. It is a really good show. Kurt Steele, the Man of Steel, is in the building with us from Lions on the Prowl. Hope you're doing really well, Kurt. We'll try and get back on the Lions on the Prowl Free for All Friday show very soon. Sorry I've missed the last few. I've been busy at work. He says, "What up, Doe?" What up, Doe, to you, sir? And I believe Dan Pasca's joined us on Twitter as well. He says, "Hi, Tom, Ant, Ryan, and Steve. Hope Matt's okay." Yeah, Matt's well. He's at a job interview this evening, a very important one. So obviously we've started the show for him, just giving him a chance to do that and get home, have some food and chill. And hopefully he's going to be joining us very soon. He goes, "I'm in Blighty on holiday, so enjoying an evening with you guys." Oh, whereabouts are you, Dan? Let us know if you're close enough to one of us. Who knows? Be able to come visit one of us if you're close enough there. Him and Ash are both in the chat there. If you
don't visit me.
No. Oh well.
There's no here.
I don't think he's come all the way from America to go on holiday to Bradford, Ryan. As much as I appreciate, Bradford as the place.
We're the new city of culture. So if anyone's coming to the UK, like the first stop is us, curry capital of the north.
mean, Hank is a big draw, but everyone has their limits.
Hull's been the city of culture as well, and I would really not recommend anyone go to Hull whatsoever, unless you go into the deep, and that's about it. But yeah, I hope you're enjoying Blighty anyhow, Dan. Hopefully you meet lots of great people like us here, although you'll not meet people who are as great as us five, but you know, someone can get close. Right, so moving on to the news, because there is a lot of news here this evening. I need to get the planner back open. So, going from talking about depressing things like Will Harris and moving to corner, we're talking on to happy things. The Hard Knocks trailer has finally dropped. Got a lot of hype the other day. I don't know about you guys, but I kind of Googled if a human body could survive running through a brick wall after I watched it because I was that hyped there. I just, you know, how much are you looking forward to it, especially now you've seen that trailer come up the other day?
In answer to your question, I'd ask Jesper Kilgrafter today because he got hit by a brick wall.
we will get to that.
It's so unfair. It's literally just come back from a busted knee and then he gets hit with that shit.
Yeah.
No, I can't wait. Do you know what? For so many years, I've been like, I'm glad Detroit are doing this. I don't want this distraction. It makes people look like tits. Like, say, it always paints me in a bad light. But now with this new front office, like, do you know what? This can't go wrong. Like I say, we're going to build more fans. They're going to see what the people are really like. We've actually got a good crop of likable players. And in the past, we've not always been able to see that. With dickheads like Jamie Collins around and N. Williams. No one wanted to see them, Christ. But this lot, you got Jamal, you've got TJ, you've got DC, you've got Brad. Just endearing characters that just want to pull together and strive for one another. And also, it's going to be really funny.
Last night, at about, 11 o'clock, I found myself on BT Sport, 17, watching Canadian football between Winnipeg and Calgary.
I love the CFL. I've been watching so much this season.
But I was just like, it was entertaining. You can't say it wasn't entertaining. But at the same time, I was like, what am I doing in my life? When is the football coming back, for fuck's sake?
Well, you've got the Hall of Fame game this week, so we do have NFL football back this week. So there's not too much long to wait there for now. What do you think of the trailer, Tom?
It just needs to get here, right? As in, we've had this excitement for so long. Honestly, I used to watch Hard Knocks every season. I'll be honest, I've dropped off the last 2 years. So I'm incredibly excited for it. We're going to come on to it later as the reasons to support the Lions, but genuinely, I think you will find more people kind of at least interested in what's going on with the Lions as a result, which is super exciting because let's be honest, when you say you're a Detroit Lions fan, especially in the UK, a lot of people say, what is that? And people who do know are like, why is that? So hopefully this will give lots of reasons for people to tune into Lions games.
I just get, is it a species of lion I've never heard of before? Then I actually realise it's a sports team, so hey ho, that's just how bad that's just how bad it is. But it's coming just in time as well for I know all the Love Island fans amongst us here. That finishes today, so you need some must-watch TV there. That's especially to Matt and Ryan as well. So yeah.
Is that where Matt really is? Actually, he's like, well, I can't.
Oh my God! Is he? If he's watching,
he's watching last night's episode.
If he's watching Love Island instead of doing this, then we're going to have words to commitment towards the pod. Matt, if you are watching Love Island, get your ass on here right now.
When I tell people I'm a Lions fan, I get a pat on the back and ask if I want a bubble bath from Matron. Like, I need comforting. Am I okay? Do I need sectioning?
Oh God! Right. Oh well, we've got all this to look forward to there. Later. So just quickly going back to the Iffy thing, Depth Fan Man goes, so if we're going to feature 3 safety sets, wouldn't we want a cornerback safety hybrid, a role that Iffy would be perfect for? Yes, Depth Fan Man, but stop using logic to, let me rant about Will Harris, please. Please. Don't use logic here. Michael Hooks in the chat, he goes, I was never interested in Hard Knocks, but I'll definitely be checking it out this year. I mean, I think just overall, we can talk about it as Lions fans and that, but I think for me, I reckon the viewing figures for this are going to be huge, even compared to regular Hard Knocks. I think there's going to be a lot of people intrigued. One, to watch Dan Campbell. One, to sort of watch the culture and that here. I think it could do big numbers even outside the fan base. Maybe even over here.
I think last season's was a particularly bad one because basically it was just like a 5-episode advert for Jerry Jones and how amazing he is. So I think, getting back to a bit of reality with Dan Campbell and co, I think will be good for the show.
They've tried to cash cow out the last few seasons in terms of obviously doing multiple seasons, in-season training camp, but going back to teams that have had it in recent years, and just that interest level isn't there. But what makes Hard Knocks great for people who maybe haven't seen it as much before is, well, for me anyway, you get almost the two different sides. You get the best players showcasing why the best players. Like I remember the Texans one 5, 6, 7 years ago, whatever it was, and there was a couple JJ Watt plays, which obviously it's all incredibly well filmed by the HBO team. They put some dramatic music on, and then you see things, and you're like, oh shit! I can't wait to see some of the Lions players do that. Hopefully, but then also
some of the Aaron Donald stuff on the Rams one was amazing.
It's insane. And then the other side is you genuinely get invested in guys that ultimately may not make the team, but really fringe bubble guys. And I think as Lions fans, obviously, we've had some of those stories recently, guys like Jerry Jacobs, etc., where fans have got really close to them. But it's always nice to get to know some of our UDFAs, some of our vets that are going to come in and hopefully kind of challenge the team as well. So I'm excited to get to know some of the guys who may not even be on the 53, because that's where a lot of the emotional investment comes from during these seasons.
Yeah,
I don't want to see guys get cut. I don't mind watching the cuts usually, but this is going to sting.
Yeah, but on the light side, apparently we are going to get a Michael Jackson tribute concert done by Aidan Hutchinson as well. Apparently he was singing, was it Billie Jean? Apparently the rendition of Billie Jean is apparently one that we've got to listen to. So looking forward to hearing that, see how Aidan does with regards to his singing. But we'll move it on. We'll be the next 3 or 4, the next shows coming up are all going to be about Hard Knocks, so we will have plenty of time to dissect what's going on with that. And finishing the news, this is kind of a bit of a difficult one to talk about that's come out in the last few days because, information
can we just skip it?
About what... No, we're not talking about a quarterback. This is Detroit Lions related, so this is all the stuff with Terrell Crosby. So, I mean, this has been hard to read about, I'm not going to lie, because, anyone who listens to this pod, I was a massive fan of Terrell Crosby. I fought his corner for so long to become the right tackle permanently here. I was even pissed off to the point we got Sewell because I still wanted Crosby there, and he got injured. He did his hamstring in training camp last year. Then a piece came out in Freet this week, I think, with Dave Burkett, who did an interview with him, and he's basically come out and said that the Lions have treated him horrendously bad. They have not listened to concerns about his injuries. He got a misdiagnosis from the club staff on, injuries that he's had. He's had to have spinal fusion surgery in the meanwhile. He missed all last year. He's been told that he might not be able to play in future at all. That might be his career done. We'd not heard anything on the flip side from the team until today. Dan Campbell was asked about it, and simply said, I don't think he mentioned Terrell by name, but he just said, if any of the guys have problems, my door's open. You can come to me, you can talk to me, and we'll sort whatever problem it is that you have. So there's two conflicting sides here, and the trouble is, I love the new management regime, and I love Terrell Crosby, and I've no reason to believe that Terrell Crosby would maliciously be going around putting rumours about the new staff. It doesn't seem like him. He was a culture guy. He was a leader while he was here. He gave everything to Detroit while he was here. But again, on the flip side, people have said, he could be annoyed that he's been dropped. He's not part of this new team, etc., etc. And I don't want to just be part of the team who, with this new regime, just goes, it's someone else's fault. This new regime is untouchable. They're great. The sun shines out their arse, all stuff like that. I need to try and maintain a neutral view on this. I don't know. What do people think about this? Because I feel like there has to be at least something there. If it's not everything that we've been told, there is something there, and maybe there's culpability on both sides. But it's something we didn't want to happen, especially to someone as as nice as Crosby was, and all this has gone on. I don't know. What do people think?
I believe him. I think even in 2022, and not just the Lions, the NFL in general, teams still don't give a shit about some injuries. Like, these guys, to some teams and some organisations, are just commodities that they are willing to try and get them to play through pain, even if they physically cannot. And you've got a very short lifespan in the NFL. Once you're hurt, they are very quick to move on of you and dispose of you. So I feel like at some point he has probably been felt like he's been just used and abused. And I can understand that. He's had a serious injury. It did seem to go on for a while as well to get to spinal fusion. That means he's probably had this vertebrae lingering for a while. So there may have been some, not necessarily misdiagnosis, but trying to just damage expectations, limit them. Where he made those claims, like say that Brad sarcastically told him, yeah, you're done now, and that he waved him goodbye when he was waved, like that for me is very hard to believe. I just can't even picture Brad doing something like that, being so blasé and almost sarcastic about seeing him leave the team and saying that it was bad for that. So that there, some sort of misunderstanding, I'd like to think so. But yeah, I agree. There's definitely issues on both sides. The Lions can't be squeaky clean in this, but Terrell is also, he's upset. He's probably a bit scorned as well, one of those scorned lovers. So it doesn't look good. And it will go down as a little smudge against a new regime because it's happened so frequently. But I'd like to think now it's come out that it's out there now. Let's just try and move on from it and hope it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if any more stories like this come out, because it's quite if you're a frustrated player who gets cut or something, it's going to be quite an easy target to try and ride that wave, I think. I think it's easy to believe that a lot of it is true. I completely agree with you, Ryan. Things like the sarcastic wave, it feels a bit fabricated. It feels, I think, actually almost hurts Crosby's position a little, because that makes me talk. It's so subjective, something like that, and you could easily interpret something incorrectly there. But we have the whole situation. I've forgotten the guy's name, but the Lions fired their head trainer out of nowhere last year, right? And basically said nothing about it. And in terms of the sarcastic stuff with Holmes, that to me feels very out of character. I actually can picture most of the other stuff being relatively in character with this regime. Do you remember last season when they were starting to push DeAndre Swift and saying, look, you're going to have to play through a few things and you're going to have to work harder at this? I think this regime needs people to love football, steer heavily into football, and if they think people aren't doing that, then they're going to push back. So if you combine that with something where there's potentially been misdiagnosis from the treatment staff, which obviously the front office and the coaching staff will listen to, I can completely see a situation where Campbell and Holmes effectively switch off from Crosby because they think he is exactly, we need to set an example of this guy to show what's not acceptable. And then that combined with a bad diagnosis and obviously clearly having missed something, given what's happened to Crosby, and this whole situation comes out. So I'd be lying if I said I was worried about it from a wider culture standpoint, because we just haven't had anything else like this. Does it clearly feel like a mistake? Yes.
I think at this point, I'm going to stick up for the Lions, because I just kind of wonder, I was trying to obviously it was quite shocking because, I've got a lot of love for Brad and Dan and the entire coaching staff. So when I kind of read the article and I kind of read it again, I was pretty shocked. And then I was trying to put myself in that situation and think about what things were like as they came in, picking up the pieces from the kind of Patricia era. And I think what may have happened here is someone like Crosby. Imagine Brad and Dan coming in and they've got to evaluate the roster very quickly. They've got to make some kind of judgments on guys. You've got dickheads like Jamie Collins probably, causing unrest in the dressing room and just generally doesn't want to be there. And I'm sure there were some other people as well that didn't want to be there. And you would imagine that someone like Crosby, who had, an injury, as Tom said, could have been misdiagnosed, an injury that was very hard to kind of get to the bottom of what was wrong with him. Was it a sore hamstring? Was it a back problem? And so he's, missing a lot of practice, which is probably causing disruption in terms of them trying to get a handle on the squad. You can see how he could maybe not been made an example of, but they would have wanted to be quite tough and quite clear that if someone was carrying an injury or had got these kind of like niggling injury problems, you're either in or you're out. Make up your mind. Are you fit? Can you do it? If not, move aside and let someone else go. And you kind of wonder whether that was the atmosphere that they came into. Like when you take over a new team, I'm sure that you do have to make these kind of snap judgments, and you're probably under pressure because there's probably other players as well who are in that same situation, all these mystery little niggles and twinges. And it kind of feels like Crosby's maybe suffered because of some of the other maybe bad elements in the camp that may have been dragging their feet a bit with the new regime. I'm just kind of trying to speculate, but that could be a scenario where maybe Crosby has had it rough, but I certainly don't believe the kind of malice that was intended, that was kind of implied, was intended from the management.
And that's where, like, Crosby, from everything you hear by media and everything, he was a liked guy in the dressing room and in the team. Now, if you think about our line, with the exception obviously of Sewell, who was there last year, Decker, Jackson, Ragnow, Vaitai, some of the depth guys, they've all been in the room with Crosby for the last few years. Now, if you really thought that one of your friends and other players was badly mistreated and there was malice behind it, you're not going to be kind of singing praises of this coaching staff the whole time, right? You would at least start to get slight... You would expect to see at least one guy be like, actually, it's not all roses here. Now, maybe that is happening behind the scenes, but we've heard none of that. And the fact that a guy who's liked within the team, you don't seem to hear anything else from the rest of the team, that's why I think that I just don't believe that level of malice can be really that bad, and it is being slightly over-exaggerated by Crosby because he's been dealt a really, really shit hand. Like, he is the victim in this because he's the guy who may never play football again and has been stitched up. That doesn't mean I can steer heavily into kind of, the Lions front office and regime have completely messed this up entirely and they're bad people and actually there is a toxic culture there, etc., etc.
See, this is the trouble with this for me. It's too evocative on both sides. I mean, in that article it did say that the offensive line reached out to Crosby after he had his surgery, but no one from the team did. Which I think... See, for me, I feel like there's maybe character assassination on both sides, and I don't like it. Because like I say, I really love management here. I think Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are player guys. And I think genuinely if they thought any of their players were in trouble, they would do what they could for them. But if there are middle guys here with the coaching staff, the fitness staff, etc., etc., and, things have got lost in translation, it's not worked out well, I can understand why it's gone sour there. And I get, saying that Holmes sarcastically waved in goodbye, that's not a good look on Terrell. But on the flip side, I don't like the character assassination of Terrell either. Because lots of people have come up afterwards and said, oh, it's a backup who's sour, who, he's just trying to get shit with the organisation and stuff like that. People forget Terrell Crosby's rise here. He was a backup for a few years, and then we went and spent all that money on Halapoulivaati Vaitai to be right tackle, effectively saying to Crosby, yeah, you're not the guy. Vaitai breaks his foot just before his first season. Crosby steps in at right tackle, plays the whole season there. Halapoulivaati couldn't get that spot back off him. He worked his ass off to get into that right tackle spot and make it his own. He was a culture player on the pitch, the first one celebrating, the first one in the huddle. He's a culture guy. He's a guy who developed, and I know people say he didn't have a love for the game, but, he still went from backup to starter. That takes commitment and dedication. And I don't like how that's suddenly forgotten about him with this team. He loves the city, he loves the people, he loves the fans. He's another one who gets on well with them, which is why it's so difficult for me to see them both fall out. Because I just love both sides, and I think on both sides there is a little bit of exacerbation of what's gone on. I think the truth is in there somewhere, but I don't think it's all on one team. So I think Terrell has been hard done by, but I think the Lions maybe have been put in too bad a light as well, especially with what happened with Barry and Calvin. Everyone says we're bad with players and that. No, we're not. We're not bad with players. Players wouldn't want to come back and play for us if we didn't. So yeah, it's a tough one. It's really tough, and I know it evokes a lot of thought here. I know in the chat, Drew says they simply had a difference of opinion about his injury status. The team will listen to the doctors. Player will go and get his second opinion. They can obviously clash with one another. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Mike Hodges says, I think Terrell didn't mix with the culture they were trying to create. They were absolutely transparent about what they wanted. The decision to miss OTAs was going to have consequences. Again, I have trouble believing that he's not a culture guy because he was a culture guy under Patricia, but you might be right. I don't know. My man Lions Rumble 81 is in the building, the most electric Detroit Lions fan out there. I love you. Hope you're doing alright, Rumble. He goes, the previous regime had people in position who weren't football players. This entire coaching staff are former players. I highly doubt they're not about the players. Again, yes. There's logical arguments on both sides of this. So, yeah. I just hope that somehow they're able to maybe patch things up down the line, and we can set the record straight that this is a team who looks after its players. I think we just want to. This is not what we wanted just before the season, but we've talked about it, and hopefully that is that with it now. Chrome is in the building. Chrome, thank you for joining as always. Love to have you along here with us. Everyone's still in on Twitch as well. If you've got any questions for us as the show goes on, anything Lions related, obviously don't forget to put them in there. We will read them all out and get the answers there to you. Where are we? Right, I think that's the end of the news segment there, unless anyone's got anything else they want to add to that, or we all done? Nope, all good. Right, so what did Matt have planned for us next? So, the training camp feedback. So, obviously there's been, 4 or 5 days of training camp now. Obviously, us being over here in the UK, we don't get to go over and watch the practices and see firsthand what is going on over there, but we have the beat writers, thankfully, and Detroit has some of the best beat writers around in Pride of Detroit. Nick Baumgardner, all these guys. Colton Pouncey's there now as well for the Athletic, and we get to hear a lot about what goes on in these sessions. So we're just gonna, Matt's picked out a few tidbits from all the days that have gone so far. We'll read them out here, and we can chime in with your thoughts or anything about these. So day 1, I think it was last Tuesday, I think they finally got into pads. So they said Okuda was leading the secondary in the first practice, acting like he was one of the leaders in the DB unit altogether, which is good to see. It was said that Quintez Cephas was visibly slower than some of the other wide receivers that were there, but he got caught out in drills a few times, but then he went and made the play of the day. That circus one-handed catch he made was absolutely insane. The first team linebackers that day, very interesting. They used Alex Anzalone and Chris Board, our free agent acquisition there. Fox had an up and down session. I'm assuming that's Jack. And one of the guys I said who's going to make this team, Demetrius Taylor, the defensive tackle, he popped off. He's had a lot of nice things said about him by Dan Campbell in regards to the attitude he's bringing to this team here. I mean, pick up on anything there, guys. I mean, it's interesting about the linebacker room. Board's getting the reps with Anzalone here. I mean, this is going to be very tightly contested, but do we think that could potentially be the starting pair come the first day of the season?
Yeah, I think they're going to start as they mean to go on. I think they put them out there starting because they want to get a feel for who is able to work together and form a partnership quickly. And I can see Chris and Alex at least being on the same wavelength, both veterans. I think there's a strong chance they will start the first snap of the first game together, whether there's any rotation, but I expect those two to be the guys. They think very highly of Chris. To admit, like I say, he's been saying about how the team and defense in Baltimore is different. He thinks he can make that jump from special teamer to every down, 3-down backer. And I think the team does as well, hence I'm bringing him in. So he trusts his instincts. He thinks he can able to do it in live play. And I think they could work pretty well together. Like I say, as a starting pair anyway, to at least mentor the young men that are doing pretty well behind them too.
I think on the Cephas catch, it was an absolutely fantastic catch, but the coverage was absolutely terrible. I can't remember who it was who was picking up, but he's never turned his head.
It was 24, I think.
I mean, it just was terrible coverage. I was like, surely not.
I think the Okuda piece is what interests me from that thing is He's been away from the team in terms of he hasn't been on the field for a year. You've got guys like Tracy Walker who just got paid, and there was that video after he signed the contract with Campbell being like, "This is your team now," kind of thing. So Okuda stepping in first day of camp as kind of a second teamer and being the alpha of the DBs, I thought was really interesting. But it kind of fits his personality, right? I mean, he's always given off that vibe, and I think it shows that the team, all the rest of the DBs respect him in terms of what he's worked at to get back. So, I definitely thought that bit was interesting.
Oh, Rumble says, Cephas, that one-handed stab was nothing short of Michael Myers-esque. #deadly. It was pretty good. I mean, people say that Cephas is on the bubble this camp, and I've enthusiastically argued that he's not. First receiver last year to form a rapport with Jared Goff. Looked really good. Injury is not his fault. He can't help getting injured, and it was really unfortunate. I mean, does anyone else really think he's in a battle for his job here, or is this just a case of him getting back up to speed and retaking his rightful, in my view, place on the roster?
Williams, some Brown, Reynolds, and then probably Cephas for me wide receiver 4. I can't see him not making the roster.
Chark,
I think Josh Reynolds is the one on the bubble. I genuinely think, like, if you take Chark, Williams, Amon-Ra, and Cephas before them, I think that Reynolds is currently wide receiver 5, and that's not a good position for him to be in because his snap count could dramatically drop. So I think that is probably the one that's got more to worry about.
He's got quite good reviews at training camp. I think Reynolds seems to have, from the feedback from the beat writers, is that he's been pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, Drew puts it here because Cephas, best number 5 wide receiver in the league. I mean, I think that's maybe a little harsh. I mean, obviously best, but I think he could be a wide receiver 4, a plentiful good one. But I still want him on my team. I want guys who we've drafted to develop and become good players for this team. So, I just don't believe any of this chatter that his job is under threat whatsoever. Mike goes, Cephas equals Anquan Bolden. He's staying, I believe. I hope he's Anquan Bolden, but you never know. I don't know there. Lions gave Reynolds a 2-year deal and they're going to cut him in camp. I mean, I think everyone should be. I think Reynolds should be up for getting cut if Pimpleton comes in and shows he can return the ball. I think that kind of cuts off what Reynolds has to this team, and you save millions in the process. So, I don't think anyone should be off the chopping block here. Obviously, apart from Amon-Ra and Jameson and Chark. Outside of that, they should all be fair game for those positions. So, yeah, I don't care if we have to lose a bit of money on some of these guys. If we can find better from undrafted free agency and that, then so be it. So, day 2. Running back receiving drills. So we know DeAndre Swift, he stands out. We know he's a good back out of the backfield. He's just proving that he can be sort of a 3-down running back and take on a lot of the load there is him. So maybe not surprising there. Reynolds too. Craig this time impressing as well. This won't impress a lot of people, but Tim Boyle beating out David Blau for quarterback 2. I think at this point we're just fed up of the pair of them, but hey ho, we have what we have. Malcolm Rodriguez was doing reps with the thirds, and Matt's put here he looks tiny compared to them. Yes, he is small, but it was pointed out that he was always in the right gap where it came to the run game. Same could not be said about Jared Davis. He struggled with the run, but anyone who's watched Malcolm Rodriguez knows he's good against the run. James Houston has been repping with the 3s at defensive end, RE and right end and left end, I'm presuming. I don't know what Matt's abbreviations are here. He's been repping in multiple positions with the 3s anyhow, which you would expect. Hutchinson set the world alight. He absolutely blew Penei Sewell away for a sack, I believe, in the first rep of the day. He used a swim move on him, absolutely demolished him, and then Pride of Detroit also noted that DJ Chark and Jared Goff, chemistry is developing with them, and they're looking very well amongst themselves. Anything there you guys want to pick up on from day 2 of the drills?
Jared Davis, he can't get this team. The only gap he should be filling is the bloody extra till at the line of McDonald's when they need people to take more orders. That's the gap he fills. He's a scrub. Honestly, get rid of him. I would have 3 Malcolm Rodriguez's. I'd rather have 3 ant-sized Malcolm Rodriguez's than 1 full-size Jared Davis, because at least Malcolm understands a run defense and he gets himself in the way at the worst. So Jared is just flaky. I'm just sick of giving him chances. But on the plus side, I think Shark is gonna touch wood. If he's healthy, he is gonna surprise a lot of people this year. He is gonna put up some big numbers.
Ryan, what have I told you about being on this podcast? Stop sitting on the fence and say what you actually feel, because we just can't.
This is what people come for. People come for me to just shit on people, and I'm just honest. I'm blunt.
He does. You should see him on the college pod. It's just he will rip into players and teams.
Nice, mild-mannered boy when we started, and he's just grown into a monster.
It's outrageous. Jared Davis has a family, Ryan. Come on, man.
Oh, anything else?
I bet he can't tackle any of them either. I bet they run rings round him too.
Right, so anyone want to talk about quarterback battle 2 or Malcolm Rodriguez or Houston or Hutch? I mean, Hutch by all accounts has been very impressive, and they've said time and time and time again that he's way more athletic than they thought he was, and it's like, I hate to think how much that is, because surely when you're spending the number 2 pick on someone, you expect them to be athletic, especially at the edge position. So God knows what their standards are from here, but he's had a really good start before he gets up into pads.
I mean, this is it for me. Like, inject this Hutchinson chat into my veins. This is what I'm waiting for Hard Knocks. This is what I want to see. This is what's going to get me hyped. Hutchinson absolutely carving through people, next season. That's why we're hyped for the season. Come on.
I'm not, because I'm going to spend the next decade getting told that I wanted Kyle Hamilton over him, and I just know it's never going to end if he ends up doing well. So, hey ho. But
did you see the Kyle Hamilton video?
Right, yeah. Can I stop this? You don't line up safeties against wide receivers on the line of scrimmage. You don't do that. There's a reason you don't do that. So no, I'm not having this. No.
For the record, I think it's been massive overreaction. I almost wanted to reply something being like, do you remember it was this time last year where everyone was telling me Jamar Chase can't catch, he's a bust. So as in, just kill it. It's a bad rep. He's a rookie. No big deal. But the Hutch stuff's really exciting, right? In the there's always a little bit of nervousness with a high pick, but it seems that there's clearly something there. There's flashes. I agree. I think HBO are going to be all over it. In my head, I'm already running kind of the slow motion swim move through my head, played to the music, and we all get way too overexcited and say we're going 14-3. So, but yeah, it's can't wait to see it.
See, I don't know which side of the coin I want to be on. I want Hutch to do well, but I want the O-line to be absolutely dominant at the same time. The better Hutch does, the worse it stands about our O-line, so we kind of don't win, unless they batter each other 50% but,
I'm sure we're going to get to that a little bit later, though.
Yeah, we are.
Today, when the pads went on.
We are. We can just talk about today's one in general in a minute, because I don't think there are any notes down for it yet, but it's fun to see. Yes, Drew, I'm not surprised at all by Hutchinson. Yes, every University of Michigan fan told us what we were getting with him. He is one as well. We know. He's a good player, right? He's a good player. I'm glad he's ours. So, we'll go leave it at that, hopefully. Yeah, Mike's just mentioned about today. I like hearing the number 1 O-line was not beaten today. No, it was not, and it looks bloody good. But we'll get there in a minute. So, hang on. I missed that Kaminsky was playing well outside and in as well, but I think Tom mentioned that about Kaminsky doing well earlier, so technically we've given him his time in the sun there. Oh, and he's on about Craig Reynolds owning running back 3. No, he's not. Jamar Jefferson's running back 3. I'm going to delete that out of the... I'm going to delete that out of the document there. Right, day 3, Pride of Detroit. Harris... I'm assuming this is Will, managed 2 pass breakups in back-to-back plays and is impressing in camp. Will Harris versus Jeffrey Okudah, we mentioned that. This is the battle now. Amani has cornerback 1 privileges for the time being, or starting cornerback 1 privileges. Okudah and Harris are fighting it out for the second starting spot. We'll get to that in a second. The QBs had their first slow day. They were a little bit not at the races, but I mean, again, that sort of had, defenses up in its game a bit. You expect there to be a power shift from side to side every now and then. Edge has all played well to a man. Pittman's also seeing a lot of reps at edge, which is very interesting. He's also playing at Mike, Will, and special teams, so I don't know if they're still trying to find the best position there for Anthony Pittman. Lucas Chase did very well. Ryan, I know you want to talk about him in a minute. The round 7 pick from Arizona State. And lines why I mentioned that Goff was looking very sharp. And also Shane Zylstra got the first 3 touchdowns in the red zone drills, as did Reese. Reese, does he mean D's? I think he means D's. But yeah, Zylstra and D's both impressing at tight end there as well. I mean, a lot to break down on this first one here. I mean, obviously, we've maybe talked a bit about Okudah and Harris, but if we just approach it again, this is the battle for the number 2 slot now. I mean, who'd have thunk it, eh?
And I think there's a world for, like I say, I think we all like Jerry Jacobs. I think there's a world where Harris actually becomes a bit of a Jerry Jacobs plus, because there's a couple of things which obviously work against Jerry in terms of athletic profile, size, etc. And Harris does a lot of similar things. He's physical. He's faster. He's bigger. So I think there's a world where he fills a similar role, not to get Jerry off the team, but that style of corner. And maybe a guy you want more kind of cover to than following a man all the way down the field, but definitely has a place. So we touched on it earlier. I think it's positive that at least the beat guys are saying, they're not saying Okudah is struggling, this is a battle. They're saying Harris is performing, this is a battle. And I think they're very different.
All this, I hate to say this, but all this is, they're doing really well. Like, the biggest loser is got to be AJ Parker. This is really hurting him. Like I say, Jerry's coming back. Will's doing well. Chase is looking good. You've got you pretty much your starting slot, and the guy brought in from KC. So it's hurting. He's sliding there. So, but it's good. Yeah, they say iron sharpens iron. Like I say, if Will Harris is starting the first game, then at least we know he's earned it. He isn't there off of he's there off of merit. He's not there off because the coaches love him and they're going to force him down our throats, even though we don't like him. It's because that he beat out Jeff and that he deserved it. And I'll give him all the praise in the world for that. Like I say, it's just only going to make Jeff more competitive as well.
I tell you what, Lions Twitter is going to be a very interesting place if Will Harris starts playing well, because I think you could probably count on one hand the amount of people who've backed him all the way through this. And there are going to be a lot of people who are trying to backtrack and cover their tracks about it. I mean, I will hold my hands up and say it will be a miracle. And you know what? Again, he is our player and I will back him to the hilt, but I just don't see it. I really don't. But, I mean, everyone seems to be stepping up the game. I mean, you mentioned Chase Lucas there, Ryan. He's doing well. I imagine, as an Arizona State fan, that is something you really want to see, because, you know, he's in one of the hardest rooms to get in this team. There's so much depth in that cornerback room. He's like one of the obvious candidates to not make it, but if he's putting his work in, it's a good sign for him.
Yeah, I know they like him because he's technical, he's clever as well. Like I said, he's a lot older than a lot of players on this defense. He's already 25, and there's at least 4 corners that are younger than him. And he's someone that will look to be a leader. He's not going to patronise anyone, but he's certainly going to be taking some of the younger guys under his wing. He's played a lot more games than a lot of them, even at the collegiate level. So he's someone that he knows his slot. He knows he plays in the slot. He will be trying to make the team. And I think he's got a 30-40% chance of making the 53 as the backup nickel corner. He's banking that we play a lot of 3 corner, 3 safety sets where he could get that look in. But yeah, he's got as good a chance as anyone. Like I said, if he were to land on the practice squad, I think he could get scooped up. Jack Jones, the Patriots, took the other Arizona State corner. He's doing really well. So it bodes well that Arizona State corners are doing well. And they both got taken like in the later rounds as well. So Chase has got as good a chance as anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Drew in the chat says if Will Harris plays well, that would be the equivalent of a horse becoming an astronaut. Probably, but you know, we're gonna have to start thinking of some horse astronaut puns if he starts playing well now. I apologise to Twitter. I've been ignoring the comments in here a little bit, and Ash specifically. Let me just go back through some of these. In regards to the wide receiver battle, he says Cephas and Benson are battling it out for that last spot. Both can make the initial 53, but one of them will be gone when JMO is back. Benson has more special teams value and speed. Cephas is more consistent. Cephas is just better, full stop, in my view. Oh, and he also mentioned in regards to Hutch, yes, this did come out today, that Aiden Hutchinson got shut down by Darren Paolo on a one-on-one rep today, which is something interesting. But you don't know out of context there. But fair play to Darren Paolo for standing up there. Ash also says Risden just tweeted that Mike Hughes is not making the team in his opinion, so maybe Parker isn't as at risk as you believe, Ryan. Big Aries 70 says disrespect for Twitch chat. I'm sorry, Big Aries. I'm just trying to do 4 screens.
Even Hughes not making the team.
Yeah.
I don't think AJ Parker's making the team because I don't rate him. He had a great last year. He is not good enough to be an NFL corner. Starting anyway, he's barely back up. He was only thrown in last year because we were down to barest of bones. I love him and he's a fighter, but I don't see him making the team.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, Big Areas about Twitch chat, you guys. The legend's in there, and I will look a lot more. Well, I mean, Tom, Steve, yeah, we haven't even mentioned Mike Hughes yet playing here. That just shows the depth we have in this corner room, doesn't it? I mean, this time last year, we were wondering if we had anybody at all. But now this year, we seem to be spoilt for choice.
I think when we say depth in the corner room, I think we just need to quantify.
Potential talent.
My view is we've got, probably with Owawarie, Okuda, Jacobs when he's fit, that's the kind of 3 that would be inked into my roster. And then I think we've got a lot of corners on the bubble. I think there's a lot of people around the same level, and I would add AJ Parker to that mix and Will Harris, and I just think it's not necessarily depth, but it's just a lot of players of around the same level, and that will they, won't they make it. And I think that's probably going to be quite an entertaining watch on Hard Knocks, because that's probably one of the most, you look at like the starting defensive line, offensive line, running back room, even the receivers. I think the positions are a lot more mapped out. I think our secondary still is an absolute free-for-all, and I think so is our linebacker room.
I don't know, Tom, what do you make of this? I mean, obviously note's been said about Hughes. I mean, do you have sort of a list of guys you prefer to take throughout of this group at the minute, or is it still just really wide open for you?
I mean, if Hughes doesn't make it, I think that's a good sign, right? Because we know roughly what he is, so I don't think that's a problem. When it came into the year, it seemed like he was locked in as a nickel, but I remember seeing day one or something like that, he was actually playing a bit outside too, but I've heard next to nothing of him. So if he doesn't make it, I'm not upset. I think if he doesn't make it, that probably speaks as much as anything to Chase Lucas taking the step forward that we're starting to hear. So yeah, again, it's a similar pump the brakes a little bit, because these are really depth pieces more than they are guys we want to be starting for now. But it's a nice place to be. I mean, it was a pretty tough situation towards the end of last season with the lack of corners we had. So I'm definitely not complaining if we've now got more talent, and unfortunately that means that we let good football players go, because that hasn't been a situation we've had recently.
Oh, someone on the team was kicking like unknown told number of black cats last year, the amount of injuries we had. It was horrible. So, yeah, it's good to see them all healthy and fighting it out. I mean, I think a lot of people forgot about Hughes. Drew went, is Mike Hughes asleep? Has he done nothing in camp thus far? Well, apparently not. I forgot you were on I keep forgetting he's on the roster, to be fair. I've heard that little. Terrell Martin's joined us. He says Jeff is starting. Well, you would hope that Jeff Okuda does start there. I mean, he's the guy we invested a 3rd overall pick in. He's healthy. He should be starting. So Mike asks, what do we feel are the odds that Williams will start week 1? I'm guessing Jameson here. He goes, I'm thinking maybe better than 50-50. Now, my ultimate sort of fantasy dream is that they are keeping it under wraps, and then week 1 we're running out against the Eagles. JMO comes out fully kitted out, first play, 80-yard bomb, he just goes to the house and off we go, and we've unleashed him on the league. But I kind of feel like maybe it's 0 to 100 that he's not going to at this point. I think we are going to be without him for at least a little while. But any of you holding out hope that he's back, if not week 1, sooner rather than later, because I think halfway through the season is kind of the projected, one that we've all accepted at the minute.
I think weeks 4 to 6, I think, is when you see him.
Yeah, I don't really want to see Williams before the bye unless he's absolutely rock solid and just totally done, all of that kind of pre-season work, and they've done their due diligence on him. I don't want to see him before the bye otherwise, because, it would just be an absolute disaster. It would just be a huge calamity that we'd be talking about for the next 18 months if he ended up missing the season because they'd pushed him back. So let's have a look at him in end of October.
Do you reckon, Tom?
The whole Cam Akers thing was just freaky. I only done the 5 months of tearing his ACL. He's taking snaps in the playoffs. That thing just doesn't happen. I think that has got people's expectations a little bit too high. That is not normal. He had an unreal rehab, so I can't see it.
Do you reckon,
but
Tom?
also, just why would you want him back week 1 other than us wanting to see, us wanting the excitement as fans? But I just don't see why you would risk it, even if you felt like he was at 95%. And if we look at take Cam Akers or whoever, he really struggled when he got back on. And with Jameson Williams, you don't want. There's the physical side and there's also the mental side. And for a guy who relies purely on speed, I don't want him kind of thinking too hard about what he's doing and what stability he's got. I mean, just the risk profile for me is just way too high for a guy that we want to see tearing up the league for 10 years.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think we're going to see him early, so yeah, we'll just have to temper our expectations. It's just a fantasy of mine that, we release him off NFI at the last minute, and we're going to kill this league with our great offense. Just quickly in Twitch, Big Aries goes, need to get you an updated stream setup. Request more monitors so I can monitor all the channels. That is right. I'm putting some more into it soon. I have a pair of headphones that are kept together by 2 pieces of tape. That's how bad my equipment is out of date at the minute, but I'm getting some new stuff in. Ashley, once again using logic, says they can't keep it under wraps. His return from NFI will be publicly released. Ash, stop it. Also, a highlighted message from Ashley. Breaking news. Chicago are fielding trade calls for Tevin Jenkins. That is an actual thing that's happening. Wow, that is news. So
Where did that come from?
Second round.
They have fallen out massively.
Ash, that better actually be breaking. I'm only trusting you, Ash, because you're up to date with your news. But what source is it? We don't know. But yeah, Tevin Jenkins is getting shopped by the Bears. That call of a fallout with the OC must be true, and the Bears cluster of a train that's rolling towards the number 1 pick next season gathers momentum. Everyone's going.
He's not exactly attractive right now, is he? He's thrown his toys out the pram of the summer. He's fallen out and he's hurt. What are they going to get back? What, a 4th?
And
I think they'll get back if they're lucky, get a 4th.
And the Bears have no tackles, so it's not like they can afford to let him go either. So the fact that they're letting him go.
I've got another theory. I think Jenkins has seen those bright orange alternate uniforms and has gone, get me the fuck out of here. I do not want to look like Tango Man this season. Get me out.
It's just me who likes them then.
I love them. Drew and Ash have told me he and Rappaport doing this. Wait, you like them? You have taste, Ryan. You do our college. You do our college football uniform segments. I look to you for wise counsel with the uniforms. That is not.
The better than our shitty alternatives. I'm sick of them grey crappy pajamas.
Right,
I would rather have the orange.
We're not talking about our uniforms because I get in trouble for this. We're hashtag bring back the black, and it brings out a lot of negative feelings amongst specifically Millen era Lions fans who hate it. I mean, we never talked with you about this, Tom, but we're bring back the black here. You like the black uniforms, yeah?
Have we done a kind of top 5 worst 5 uniforms? I was listening to the Bun and Cardigan Show, Detroit Pistons podcast, a couple weeks ago, and they did that for the Pistons. But it would be quite interesting to see where some people put the black unis ranked
at the bottom.
The best and worst side as well. I'm just saying.
Black's the best. All right, you know what? I'll put it out there in the chat now. There's plenty of people in the chat, in YouTube and Twitter. What are your most hated Lions uniforms?
I bet they hate the black.
If you put the black uniform, I'm going to censor it, because this is my show today, and I can censor whatever the hell I want. So, what are your worst uniforms? In fact, what are your worst uniforms that aren't black uniforms? What is that?
The throwback.
Twitter,
The throwbacks.
Twitter,
Our
YouTube,
throwbacks
it's up to you.
crap. I hate the throwback.
And what would you
If
like to
you-
replace him with? We can do that as a fun thing there.
Justin Fields, I'm so sorry. I feel so sorry for Justin Fields. He does not need this crap.
No.
What do you
Come to
think
the
about
Lions. Come
What
to
do you
the
think about
Lions.
the Pistons teal?
Oh, love it. Absolutely love it. Get that giant horse on the Lions as well. All about the teal.
Oh, yeah, I like the teal,
Someone said-
actually. Someone
someone
said
said
it's for the younger fans, isn't it, who buy the jerseys, but I think they look quite
One
fire.
year, the Lions, the Pistons, and the Red Wings should all change uniforms. Like say, like they play in like silver and blue. We play in like red and white, and like say mix up. I think that's a great idea.
I just think it's weird how the Red Wings are the only team who play in red. I know we've seen their name light, but still, red just ain't a Detroit colour for me, but that could be
They did get
controversial.
voted the best.
They
I
are
think it's
fire,
the
they are
best
nice.
emblem in the NHL.
Teal? A Detroit? You think Detroit? Teal? No. No, you don't.
But it's funny now because
not
now
a
we talked about the horse on the teal jerseys and what was said earlier. I'm just picturing like an astronaut, a helmet on top of it, and it can be a Will Harris jersey. So there we are.
I love it, Tom. That is absolutely amazing. Det Fan Man goes, no tackles. The Bears completely fixed their O-line issues, signing Riley Reef for $12 million to play left tackle. Yes, injured 33-year-old Riley Reef is the answer to all their problems. Yes, it's hilarious. Ken says, whatever makes the Bears look bad, it's all good to me. That is very true. Rumble, love you. He says the black is one of my favourite, to be honest. Mike goes, I'd rank the black over the grey pyjamas. I think most people would call them grey pyjamas, to be fair. They're just not liked. You know, the white ones for me are the fire ones as well. Love the white ones, but hey ho. Lion Rumble goes, he loves the colour rush greys as well. Anyone in Twitch chiming in on this? Ash said, yeah, I'd take an update of Black Uni. Big Aries says it's the black. I need to see an updated version of it. Yes, I do. I think it needs.
I love
updating.
it, but I
Yeah.
am pretty much certain we will not get it. They will not bring it back, I don't think.
Yeah. I think it needs updating, but I don't know. I want it. I'm going to force the campaign to see it happen. Anywho, we got sidetracked by uniform chatter. Anyone else got anything to mention about day 3 of training? Obviously, Pittman's getting played all over the place, so they're trying to find a spot from in there. Zylstra, I really wanted to say the Dees joke then, and I was about to say it, and I'm glad I didn't. But yeah, Dees, Zylstra, anyone on these guys? Because obviously these are maybe depth positions, not starters, but they're still important to us.
Pittman seems like a proper reach. It seems like they're just trying to put the squarest of peg in every round hole. Christ, him off the edge. That's just Jared Davis, but a bit younger and a bit more in the tank for me. So that is really stretching. Where's Sean Dion Hamilton? Does anyone see him? Does he even exist? Is it a pseudonym? Is he a book writer? Is he a real person? I don't even know that because it's 3 made-up names just put together.
Probably in the middle.
Is he C.S. Lewis?
He's
Is he C.S. Lewis?
He's probably sat in a boat in the middle of Loch Ness with Tevin Jenkins, such as neither of them been seen in so long. Maybe they just got their own little club going on there, where no one's been seen. So, hey ho. Right, let's move this on. People here to hear about Lions stuff and have sidetracked us. I'm sorry. Day 4, Lions Wire reported that Decker was out with a minor foot injury. It is only. I don't think it's an injury. I think it was, well, unless they say it is, but I thought it was more just watching after him, vet rest, stuff like that. Hutchinson made a couple of other big plays in training, beat a few tackles, got some sacks in there. Amani Oruwariye had a calf injury, left under his own power, but did not return, but I don't believe it's anything to be concerned about. I think it was just a knock during training. Akuda making plays there as well again, and then Pride of Detroit saying that Lions, the scheming the offense to get Amon-Ra St. Brown in favourable matchups. I mean, aside from the injury knocks there, that's pretty standard, right? I think we're gonna see Amon-Ra used all over the field this year in all variety of packages, and I suppose it's no surprise they're working him out that way, is it?
Yeah, it means they're motioning him finally. That's what they didn't do last year. They didn't motion him enough. They didn't try to get the matchup they wanted. They just asked him to go beat who was in front of him. He did a lot of the time, but I'd like to see him as a running back. I'd like to see him in line, tight, just coming off the end of the line and far out wide. And also, let's give him a jet sweep. We didn't see enough of that this year. Let's put him on some jet sweeps because he's going to be so fun to watch.
Oh, I agree. I think the potential is limitless with him. I don't know. Anything else stand out to you there, Tom, Steve, on that? Obviously, not really much in the way of big things there, but it's good to see them finally. Ben Johnson hopefully is going to unlock even more of Amon-Ra's potential with all these different schemes they're using.
It's exciting, and obviously the beat guys can't actually say anything of what's happening because of the rules with following training camp. But yeah, it's exciting. I think my biggest takeaway from day 4 was the Hutch hype train going up another notch or two. We mentioned it earlier, but it kind of makes me smile every time you hear something about it. Also, it was nice to hear something of Okuda, because actually, other than the kind of alpha of the team comment, I actually hadn't heard anything on his play until that. And my biggest worry with Okuda really is foot speed, especially coming off that injury and explosiveness. Now, we have a lot of speed in our receiving unit, Cephas aside. So I feel like we should get clarity on whether that's going to be a problem or not. So hoping to hear a bit more Okuda hype over the next week or so, though.
Yep, absolutely. Hopefully there's a bit more to be
with
there with
Decker,
him.
Decker will not. I think Decker will play very sparingly in pre-season. They are going to manage him right up until 10 minutes before the game. I think there's no reason to put him in harm's way. So it don't bother me if he takes every other day off.
And he was back today, I believe. I think we had the starting five. So it's I imagine he'll get loads of vet rest days, but it's clearly nothing they're concerned about. Otherwise, they wouldn't have put him out first day in pads.
No, not at all. Bit more news coming through here from Ash, actually. Sean Dion Hamilton's repping with the twos, apparently, so he is live, just not really doing much in camp. Corey Sutton, our wide receiver from Appalachian State, we got as an undrafted free agent, has retired. So that's another one of our players who's hit retirement early. And we've actually signed former Chargers running back Justin Jackson as the replacement on the roster.
He came from Northwestern. I think he's pretty good.
He came from Northwestern. He had about 5,500 rushing yards he had, and about 1,000 receiving yards he had in college. I'm not sure he did much with. I think he's been back up to Austin Eckler, hasn't he? So
yeah, he had a couple fancy relevant weeks when Eckler was injured, so he got a little bit of attention there. But yeah.
So that's interesting. So Justin Jackson comes in. So does that mean that must mean that Jamar and Reynolds aren't safe, because he could potentially challenge them for a running back 3 spot? Or is this maybe because Greg Bell's gone down, they've brought another guy in, but he can threaten them too? I'm intrigued by that one, actually.
Yeah. He's got some experience. And Sutton, I imagine Sutton might be going back to school. If he's retired this early, he might be going back to do a master's or something. I saw someone else the other day retire. I can't remember who it was. They were going back to school on another team. You get a lot of retirees in training camp.
Yeah, agreed. I don't know. That's a bit of a surprising one. Just there's a lot of players retiring at the minute, and they're choosing to do it just before the season. I'm just trying to work out. So this is 5th year in the league for him. He's only got 1,000 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. His receiving's not really that much. 500 yards receiving. Camp body. We'll see. But intriguing. The Lions look like they want to beef up the running back room a bit. Maybe Jefferson or Reynolds is not showing it, so I don't know. We'll see with that one. Right, where were we? So day 4, we've done day 4. I think that was it. I think we've just had today, other than that. So he's also put in here, Pride of Detroit's Jeremy Reisman. We feel like we have very few players that we need to grow up. Just from their approach to the game, credit to BH for bringing in high character players. Oh, this is Dan Campbell, who was asked about players in the team sort of buying in, are they taking time to settle in and whatnot, and him saying that no, these players are all exactly what we wanted in terms of the learning aspect of the game, and that they're right where we want them to be. But so yeah, that's always promising. But today was dominated, and I've got no notes here, but I know it was dominated by the offensive line. Tom mentioned it earlier. Jeff Okuda got sat on his ass by Penei Sewell, but it seems like Penei Sewell sat everybody on their ass today, and no one could really deal with him. The offensive front 5 were there, and they absolutely dominate. I mean, this is what we want to hear, isn't it? I know we've got edge options and that, but all through this camp, we want our offensive line to be as deadly as they come, because if we're going to win games next year, it goes through them.
Oh, yeah. Before pads go on, there's a lot of patty cake and there's a lot of the line, and you will get a lot of edge rushers that do it. But when the pads go on, and when you get to that thud, offensive line, like they're not pissing about no more. Like if Hutchinson wants to get round you or go through you, he's gonna have to hit them, and that is where Sewell gets in there. Like I said, Sewell now is like, can't hurt anybody because everyone's padded up, so he's gonna turn it. He's gonna crank it up to 11. Like I say, he's going, and then now they're getting him out on lead trains. He's lead blocking. Akuda's just in his way like this little ragdoll, like show the court where he touched you. He's just going through people. I love it. He's pissed off, and he's going to carry that into pre-season. So, if anything, the edge have had their turn. Now I want the offensive line to just start bullying them.
In his interview afterwards, he said something, and paraphrasing, but he said something like, last year everything was 1,000 miles an hour, and now everything's normal speed. You can just completely get that, right? I mean, last year he came in, it was, okay, you're moving to right tackle for the first time, then you're back to left tackle, then you're right tackle. So we saw some really encouraging signs at the back end of the season, but like he was always a little bit kind of on the move, whereas now he knows his position, he knows what's happening, he knows the offense, he knows the guys around him, and I mean he can just do what he wants basically by the sounds of things in today. It's pretty exciting to hear.
Yeah, I just want to see more of Hutchinson against Sewell. Like that's just all I want to see. Just for the next couple of weeks. Just I've seen a couple of vids on Twitter today. That's what we're all here for.
I mean, I put this out on Twitter earlier today, but it surely it's not a reach now to say that Penei Sewell is behind only David Bakhtiari in this league now as a tackle in terms of talent. That's how quickly he's grown. Would anyone disagree with that?
In the division?
In the NFC North.
Yeah. Elton Jenkins, if he was playing right tackle, I think for now, for what he's put on the field, you'd have to say yes. But yeah.
That's a possibility. I mean, Jenkins plays all 5 spots, so the versatility aspect, I suppose, works for you then. But, I mean, it's this is Sewell in his second year. I think the levels he's going to reach are frightening. He'll surpass David Bakhtiari one day, I feel.
He's going to the Pro Bowl this year, Sewell.
Oh, God,
and that Hard Knocks will really help, because Hard Knocks will help us get Pro Bowl votes. The more people get in behind the Lions and buy in and see that we're a good guy, they'll respect talent more, they'll respect more what they do on the field, and it's just going to help. Like I said, I expect him to get, probably, I'm going to say he gets the most Pro Bowl votes of anyone on the team come the end of the season.
You know what, I'll do one better than that. I think if our run game flourishes, and he's a big reason behind it, because they did run through Vaitai and Sewell a lot last year on that right-hand side, All-Pro's the ceiling for him already this year, I reckon. I mean, the only reason he got overlooked last year, you know, in terms of best tackle in the country, was just because Rashawn Slater had a ridiculously good season for an offensive tackle. But I think All-Pro could already be his ceiling for next year. I generally do, but... if the run game works, it could be amazing. I'm just looking forward to it. You know, it's been so long since we've had an offensive line that's been good. We didn't get to see them play together last year. This is the year they're going to beat the hell out of everybody. And even some of the best D-lines we've come up against, I will back them to beat. I just really like them that much there. Anything else that anyone wants to mention in terms of anything they've heard today? Anything? Obviously, Matt's not updated today, and I've not had a chance myself, but these tidbits all come out. Anything anyone else wants to mention about training camp in general? We do training camp in general now. If there's anything you think we've...
I was just going to ask you college experts on Justin Jackson. Is he like too similar to DeAndre Swift, or is he a different kind of player? Is it like a third down back? What do you guys think? I don't know much about him.
He's not very big, I don't think.
He's small. I think he's like 200-ish pounds. He was always a small guy.
He's definitely not a blocker. I'd say, he's like a scat back. He's very much like, he took the workhorse stuff at Northwestern, but that doesn't really say a lot. That says probably more about them. So yeah, he's fighting for that running back 3 or 4. There's a good chance, like I say, he could not make the team. He could just be there to give him a kick up the ass.
Yeah, and more kind of Amir Abdullah body style than Swift, I would say.
Yeah, I can't really add much more there. I didn't really see a lot of him coming through college, so I will defer to you guys on that one there. Right.
The only other thing to say, just it kind of got buried behind all the Sewell stuff, was apparently TJ Hawkinson completely owned Hutchinson as well, which was a pleasant surprise because Hawkinson's blocking has not been what we hoped for coming out of college. So apparently he stonewalled him early in the day.
Yeah, that I want to hear more of that as well. I think it's crazy, isn't it? The amount we need to see from people this year, TJ, Okuda, all these guys, is, if they even reach half of what we expect of them, this team's just going to be on a completely different level to what it was last year. And I just want us to be healthy and to show what we're capable of. So, yeah, I think TJ's going to be major for us this season. I think just far too many people are giving him a lot of disrespect there. All right, to all you guys out in the chat, YouTube, Twitch, if you have any questions, give them to us because we are starting to come towards the end of this now. I know we talked about camp, so we were going to have a little section talked about our Lions fandom and bits like that. Maybe because we have been going a while and I don't want to keep everyone this evening, I will move it down to the question about why a neutral right now should consider the Lions for this team. I mean, we've all said a lot of times about why we're Detroit Lions fans on here. There's varied reasoning behind it, but I guess if we're all salesmen at this point and we're trying to pitch the Lions to someone as to why they should come and support us, I mean, what would you say to? I'll go around the room, Tom. If you were convincing someone to support the Lions at the minute, or at least get interested in us, what would be the thought process behind that?
I think you want to be investing in a bunch of people that you want to support. So even ignoring the team, you want characters that you want to support. You want that running all the way through the organization. You want a young team. You want excitement. And the other thing is, you don't want to be choosing a team that has had loads of history and is on the way down. You don't want to be becoming a Liverpool fan in kind of 1995 and then sit and watch Man United beat you for 20 years. Because if you go and support the Packers, then sure, you might have a nice 2022, but you're going to have to deal with us burying you for the next 15 years. So don't be that guy. Don't be that girl. Just come support the Lions.
Was that a paid sponsorship by Steve Collins, I heard there? Aren't you meant to read out the sponsorship for that? It sounded like a paid advert.
Just imagine the wailing and gnashing of teeth if MJ Turner was here with us tonight.
He's meant to be coming on in a few minutes, so if he's listening, you're going to get both barrels there. So
I'm hoping that he's still stuck into Love Island and he wasn't watching that bit. So
yeah, absolutely. Ryan, if you were selling people on the fact to come and support the Detroit Lions now, what would you say to them? What would you use to put us up on a pedestal to be the team to support going forwards?
I'd say come support the Lions because everyone just writes us off. Like I say, everyone loves an underdog. Like I say, everyone questions why you like the Lions. Everyone asks us, you get pity. You get that sympathy, get people feeling sorry for you, because they just don't know anything about the Detroit Lions. All they see is wins and losses, and they think Lions are crap. You shouldn't support them. But there's a much bigger picture than that. Like I say, you only have to look at last year. When you really break down how games went, how blood, sweat, and tears went into every play right up until that final play, and everything could have been on a dime. Last year could have gone so differently because everyone bought in, everyone put their bodies on the line. When the corpses started piling up and we were working our way down to cornerback 5 and 6, the play was just as good. Everyone bought that. Like I say, we're not a one-man team, we're not a two-man team. Like I say, we're not those guys that just go out there 3 or 4 good guys and expect you to run over it. It's a proper collective. Everyone buys in. If someone goes down, next man up. And there's just a general togetherness, and that's with the fans as well. Like I say, it's been difficult, but you bond together. Like I say, you become a bit like a family. You're quick to defend each other as well. Like I say, if you go on social media, like I say, I often see people, Lions fans are really good to interact with because, like I say, they stick together, they stick up for one another, and they're fierce. But in a good way, like I said, they will stick up for the Lions through thick and thin because they've been through thick and thin. And we're on the rise. Like I said, teams are on the decline. Like I said, the Vikings are in cap hell. They're basically giving $50 million to Kirk Cousins, who is good but not great and won't take them anywhere. in a few years they're in the world of shit because they can barely afford the guys they've got now. Whereas we're about to just invest in young blood. Let's say we've got guys on this defense from like 24 to 26, and that is across the board. So you're going to be able to grow up and grow old with these guys.
I love it. I absolutely love that there, Rye. Steve, if someone wants to support the Detroit Lions going forward, or if you're trying to convince someone to support the Lions going forward, what is the pitch there? And as a sub question to this, in case you're going to go into this, why should they not support Liverpool? Because if you and Tom are paying one another to do this, then you do that one separately.
First of all, when you're picking your NFL team, you've got to pick your division, right? And you want to play in an absolute smash mouth, hardcore division. You don't want to be playing in one of these fancy pants, surf subdued West Coast divisions. You don't want to be playing in the AFC South and watching the Plastic Jags and the Texans, for all those games. You want to be playing in a hardcore, a real hell in the cell type division. So there's two spots for that. There's the AFC North, with like the Ravens and the Browns and Steelers and now the Bengals, or you've got the NFC North. But the NFC North, it's the old black and blue division. Like, it's got some of the fiercest geographical rivalry, and that's the division to be in. Nice cold weather division. And then you've got 4 teams. I mean, for me, when choosing a team, the number one thing is like, I've got like a no dickheads rule. And you just don't want to be in one of those teams where you've got a massive dickhead in your team. And that immediately rules out Green Bay. I mean, just, need I even say any more about that? You don't want to be playing for supporting a team with Kirk Cousins as your quarterback, building a little plexiglass enclosure for him in the locker room. You don't want any of that. Have you seen the Bears? You absolutely don't want to go anywhere near that franchise. So by a process of elimination, you've got the Lions, the coolest team. They've got the Honolulu blue and silver, an amazing city full of culture and heritage. Detroit is the place to be. It's on the up. Absolutely, this is the team of the future. Who would you want to support?
You know what? I'm starting to well up a little listening to all these. I'm almost convinced to support them myself if I didn't already support them here. And you know what? I'm going to miss Kirk Cousins in a way when he's gone, because who the hell am I going to make jokes about having inflated quarterback salaries for? He's the butt of a lot of my jokes, so I'm going to lose a lot of the guys there. The chat's chiming in as well. Ken Stouder says, hard-working, gritty, this is the underdog you can support, raw. Mike Hodges goes, the next man up is always prepared. Absolutely, they may have to wait their turn, but when they come in, they're going to hit just as hard as the guy in front of him. He also goes, black and blue divisions, baby. Det Fanman goes, no dickheads. Well, there goes FTP and the Vikes. Yes, absolutely, just as you said there, Steve. Ken also goes, Detroit-style pizza wins. Yes, Detroit-style pizza does win. It's one of the best ones going out there. Let me just check that I've not missed anything on Twitch there. Oh, I missed one from Ash earlier. We were talking about guys retiring. Gandy Golden has retired. Yes, he did.
That's him.
Yep,
Antonio
Gandy Golden has gone back to school. And also in regards to the last day of training, Benson's had a good day today. Some good deep routes, but Goff and Boyle were off on their throws. Yes, they were. But again, hopefully just a little blip in the system there. We are now a 5. We are a quintet this evening now, not just a quartet. The leader of Roar of the Lions UK is back in the building, Matthew Turner. How did your evening go?
Yeah, it went well, man. Apologies for being 2 hours late to the show. But there we go.
It's fine. I tried to wait, but then I'm like, oh god, there's a lot of people waiting. I should probably go, and then he'll come join us later on. And it's probably good, because you don't want to hear some of the stuff that's been said about you and your football team in here. It's not.
No,
nice.
watch Love Island on catch up. I mean, I'm sure there's a catch up service.
I don't know. It's only just started, mate. No idea. I'm sure we'll get around to it. I'll fill you in later. Yeah.
Don't believe a word of it.
Det Fanman's just gone, Love Island must have just ended. Yeah, it must have. Now, Matt's felt he can join us now that Love Island's done. We know your priority list, right? Even Ryan's here, and he's a Love Island, guru, so...
Have you said to the guys why I'm not here? Not us. I mean, the
I've
listeners.
said to the chat, you've been at a job interview. They've all been wishing you well with that. So I assumed I could put that out there, but everyone loves you on here. So
yeah, there's a couple of people from my work who might listen to this, so we'll see how that goes. It's fine.
I was
no,
trying
to
be nice. So
no, I know, man. I'm sure they're expecting.
I still reckon let's steer heavily into the Love Island conspiracy theory instead, and then we're.
Yeah. He said he was going to a job interview, but it was actually to watch Love Island on his own. So there we go.
That was the job.
Has Tevin Jenkins just entered Love Island?
Yeah, Tevin Jenkins is getting shopped. Actually getting shopped by the Chicago Bears. That was very interesting. Yes, he is. They're trading him. Oh, they want to trade him.
I saw yesterday that the new GM wasn't sold on him as a prospect, so I'm not surprised that it's come to that. But
that fan has just said, his job interviews with the Love Island production staff. Yeah, there we go. That's what it is.
Yeah, I'm interviewing to be Ian Sterling's replacement.
Yeah.
So nice.
He's going to be on there this season. But chat's welcoming you in there anyhow. Brent DeWitt is in the chat. Lions 1960 here. I'm assuming that's your tag on Twitter. I'm worried about our linebackers this year. Hope the front four can make up for that. What do you all think? Well, Matt, you've just joined the building this evening. Are you worried about the linebackers, or can the defensive line get it done and shield their weakness?
The more I've thought about it, the less worried I am. Actually, it was one of those things where everyone's like, oh, the linebackers are crap and it's going to be a real thorn in our side. And that's a really easy kind of thing to say because there's no one flashy there, right? The more I think about it, I just don't think it's going to be a big problem. And so there's a couple of reasons for this that I'm kind of seeing. And the first one's Anthony Pittman in camp. And seeing how many different ways he is being utilised and the fact that the staff are clearly very high on what he's able to do. Then you've got Sean Dion Hamilton, who apparently is having a really good camp too. Then you hear that Malcolm Rodriguez is doing everything he needs to do from his standpoint. And then the starter looks like it's going to be Chris Ford alongside Alex Anzalone, and apparently he's doing really well too. So, I mean, obviously it's never going to go as well as I say it's going to go just because I've said that, but everyone who thinks that this is going to be a terrible, terrible linebacking core, I don't think the scheme doesn't put emphasis on the linebackers, right? It put emphasis on the interior of the defensive line. So already, I think that's going to go better with a healthy Levi, and hopefully Brock is rebounding from a bad year. Hopefully that improves. Charles Harris was our best per PFF run defender last year, which is insane on that defensive line. He had like a 65 grade. Aleem McNeil was down at 55. If you're interested. So, Harris, that being his weakness, apparently actually really brought it last year. Aiden obviously is meant to be an elite run defender. So across that line, I expect us to do a lot better. And the linebackers we have are meant to be much better in run support filling gaps. So coverage is potentially the problem, but our pass rush has gotten better too. So I'm not worried. I think we'll be fine.
There you go, Brent. Hopefully that answers that one there for you. So just before you came in, Matt, we were doing our promotional pitches as to why a new NFL fan or a lapsed one or whatever should support the Detroit Lions as their team going forward. Now, I know you've put this in there this evening, so we've heard some very stirring speeches so far, and there's a very high bar, and I've not done mine yet, so I'm going to pass it on to you. You've just come into the building, but hopefully you had an answer ready for this. If you are trying to convince someone that the Detroit Lions are the team of the future to watch, the team to follow, apart from, having a great British podcast over here which they can listen to every week, what would you say to them?
I think when you look at the variety of teams around the NFL, there's a lot of just nothing teams out there. Like, they're fine. And they come from a place that's all right. And there's nothing to them, really. You look at the bigger teams as well. You look at the New Yorks and the Californias, and it's like, they don't even care about their team, or they're fickle fans. And, I'm not all about that. The first thing to say about Detroit is the people that are there. I mean, actually being a fan of the city itself. Detroit and Michigan in general is full of some spectacularly good people. When I went there in November, I already knew that the reputation of those people was that they were genuine, hardworking, blue-collar, lovely people who wouldn't understand why I was there but will welcome you with open arms. And they went way beyond that. You know, just some really, really great people who cared deeply about their team, and that's why the last 50 years, 60 years, 70 years have been a problem for Lions fans because they genuinely care, and it's nice to be part of a fan base that has that all in common. There's very few fickle Lions fans. There's some loud, same old Lions fans. Don't get me wrong, they are there, but the majority of the fan base is quite good, really, and they got good opinions, and it's fierce on Twitter sometimes, and not everyone agrees, but you don't have to agree to be damn good fans, so you got to start off there. But then you actually look at the Lions and where they are now. They are a team at their lowest ebb. I mean, when was the last time that we had 3 wins? And, you know, I say that because obviously it's been recent. So, like, we have a sustained period of bad times. And why would that be a selling point for this team? But the point is that there is a real upwards trend here. If you want to see a team that is entertaining to watch, come what may, this regime have it absolutely down. Win or lose, you're going to have fun watching this team. The head coach is absolutely electrifying. The general manager seems to knock it out the park every time he drafts. So whichever time of the year it is, you're going to be interested. But this year, they're going to pull off something spectacular, and it's going to be really, really fun to watch. And then when they're against big teams, and you think, oh, they've got no chance in doing this, they're going to try and pull out the spectacular to try and do it. So just for this season alone, they're going to be really entertaining, and you're going to have more exposure to this team than any other. But when it comes to a long-term sustained thing, this team is set up right for future success, and they have the tools and the capability to do it. If you want to follow a team from the bottom to the top, because you feel like you earn your fandom, you earn the right to be happy. You don't just go and support Tampa Bay, you don't just go and support the New England Patriots because you're going to win every year, and then that's boring. I mean, Tom Brady left New England and they lost loads of fans because it's boring to win every year. If you do that and you come in the middle of it, you expect to win, and when you don't, it's like, oh, is this what it's like for everyone else? Well, we are at the lowest point of it. Do you know how sweet it is going to be when we win? Like, that's the biggest selling point for me. When we win, there will be absolute mayhem in the streets. I'm going to be in Detroit being one of the first people there when we do it. And it's going to be absolutely spectacular.
You know, I don't know what I expect to come into this segment with this, but I just find myself, it's like, wow. I've loved every single response here so far. that fan bands put in the chat, but I'll say it again. Hey Detroit Lions, hire Aurora Lions UK to handle future promotions. This has been gold. He's really enjoyed it. I'd love for us to be hired by the Lions. That would be an amazing thing for us there.
I just wanted to say that I don't think we are at our lowest ebb. I think the lowest ebb for me was in the Matt Patricia area when we traded Golden Tate. I think for me that was a day where I just couldn't get any lower.
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. But I guess if you're looking from the outside in, looking at this team, a 3-win team a few years running is going to look like its lowest ebb. We know it's not. But, yeah. I mean, we were taken down probably lower than Patricia had us when they left before. Like, if an average head coach and an average GM had taken this team after Matt Patricia and they'd done everything we'd done, but they'd not then recruited well, this team could have gone on 0-17 last year. It really could have done. And that's why it was so entertaining when we went 3-13-1, because they massively overperformed compared to how good the roster was. And the Bears are right there now, and it's fucking sweet.
I think you put it right there. Ken mentions in the chat, he goes, 9 wins is not good enough. That seems a long time ago now. Hell yeah, it does. What we would give for a 9-win season right now, that is how low we had to go before, and now we're on the rebound, and that's going to be the place to go with it. But I mean, you know, I'm not going to be able to top any of these that you guys have done here. You've really sold it there. I think we should cut these up, send them to NFL UK and say, like, play them. You know, we want to indoctrinate some more fans to the Lions here. But for me, the biggest selling point for it is the community. And I know it's been mentioned a bit already, but when you're part of a sporting franchise, I think what takes it from like a passing interest into a serious, you know, sort of sporting vestige, as it were, is the community. You want to feel part of the team. You want to feel part of the fan base community, and that's why I've always said, when I've always been asked the question, why the Lions, the affinity that I have, the similarities I see with my own football team here, We play in the 5th division of English football. We're not even a professional team at the minute, technically, but you know, you don't see the flashy players, you don't see the World Cup winners, you don't see the Premier League players, but what you do, you see a bunch of guys who work their ass off on the field, you know, they do other jobs while they're out there, but they're committed, they're dedicated, and the community is made up of loyal people who love the game. It's nothing to do with trophies and silverware, it's to do with the love of the sport and the game and how they embrace you and take you in. I started going to matches on my own when I was younger, and I've made so many friends over the years just because people, you know, the community is so welcoming and friendly. And with the Lions, you saw the similarities. And look what the Lions fan base has done for us. I mean, we're just a bunch of guys over here in the UK who talk a little bit about the Detroit Lions. We got 7 or 8 listens when we first started doing this, and most of them were us going back to listen to the damn thing. You know, just the generosity of a few people along the way. It started off with people like Rebecca, who came on and did some of the shows with us when we watched the games, and then Luke G when he took us on his channel and gave us exposure, and Micro Mike and all these guys. We've been welcomed into this family by those over there in America. You know, we've been listened to, what, 25,000 I think we broke today on audio listens for the first time. People want to listen to us, and you know, they accept us. They've embraced us as their own, despite the fact we're across the ocean. And they have absolutely no business listening to us and doing that. And if you really want a sporting experience where you can go and really, truly enjoy it down on every level, we're the team to do that. Because they have the fan base who will do that. If you show yourself as dedicated to the Lions, they will embrace you and accept you. And that's what makes the day. That's why I love doing these pods and having everyone who comes on the show with us on Twitch, on YouTube, whether they're commenting late or whatever. You know, it's just amazing how we've been embraced by it all. So, you know, that's my selling point for them. It is the community, and for me that is the one massive thing here. Even when the team's bad, you know the community will rally round together and support one another. You'll not just lose faith just because you have a few seasons without a Super Bowl. It won't just all go to hell and people will argue with one another and they'll not get on, etc. You don't get that here. It's always one pride, and it's not just a moniker, it's a way of life. So that for me is what it's all about, and I absolutely love it. So as I always say all there, thank you to every single person who has embraced us as Detroit Lions fans. We really do appreciate it, and it's just so enjoyable doing all this. So thank you all. That is my pitch anyhow.
Love it. That's a pretty good spread of reasons why the Lions are worth your time, I must say.
Yeah, that was an enjoyable segment. I was kind of, at first I'm like, I don't know where this is going to go, but, you know, I enjoyed doing that. Anyhow.
Plus, rumour has it, Detroit fans are all good looking and really funny. And
we're
right
right here.
Embodiment of that.
We are the embodiment of good looks and humour, mostly humour, but yeah, we are.
You can only go with the data we've got here. I mean, this is what we're seeing, so, you know.
I just look at, you know, Tom's got his fire haircut there. Tom looks trim and proper, and, you know, that's that, and there's me here looking...
Tom looks smooth. Tom looks like he's kind of... Maybe just had a manicure.
It does. I love the haircut.
I've been in a wellness retreat the last 2 months, clearly.
You don't want to ask Ryan about what manicures means. We don't want to open the salon on the podcast, to be honest. That's a Love Island joke.
Oh, no. Right, no, we're getting back into the Lions chat here. Mike goes, that was the best view of Lions fandom I've heard. I might have to record that for posterity. Well, you know, everyone was great with that there. I really enjoyed that. He goes, I was there at the Minnesota game. The release when they hit the game-winning pass was incredible. MCDC is the perfect coach for this fan base. Winning with him will be even more sweeter, as Matt said there. I mean, did we not all feel that? We all said that in 5 years' time, we will look back on that touchdown as the moment when everything changed. From everything that we've gone through, all the rubbish, all the bad times, that touchdown was it. And we will look back on that in 5 years, we're in the playoffs, and go, that's where it all changed. I agree. I would love to have been there. I would absolutely love to have been there. Bruce Betterley's in the chat. He goes, the most loyal NFL fans are Detroit fans. Absolutely. Det Fan Man goes, can't stop, won't stop. No, we keep going all the time. Mike goes, we know Lions fans can't be bandwagoners. Absolutely. Maybe in the future we'll be successful enough that we get some, but no, doesn't really matter. So Mike goes, gotta go. That was fun. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you for joining us. Appreciate you all for joining us. We've been going a little while there. If you've got any more questions you want to get in the chat or anything before we start winding this down, then please go for it. You know, we love chatting and doing this stuff. Let me just check the Twitch in there. Big Aries goes, this is all still higher than the Millen era. That man could not get a draft right, while the previous regime isn't my favourite. It had some things. I guess the older ones would say Millen was worse than Patricia. Certainly the reaction to the uniforms would say that they are. No, they don't want to be reminded of a damn thing from when Matt Millen was in charge. So, oh dear. Did we have anything else on the list to do today?
I need to shoot soon, but anyone watching, please head over to Full 10 Yards on college on Twitter, because I've just done the 2022 season guide for the Lions. No one's seen it yet, but it's ready for pre-order. There's physical copies and there's digital copies. So if you go over to them and speak to them, they've got their links there. Then I think there might be discount codes. Don't quote me on that, but speak to us, I'll speak to them. I think there may be a quote. I'm not too sure on that, but if you go over to there, like I say, it should be out in the next, I believe, week or two. But that's a full season guide. They've done it for 3 years now. Everyone collaborating, coming together. I think it's like a textbook. They put proper hard work into it and produce really good stuff. So my article will be there, like I say, everyone of the contributors. So that'll be the first time people see it. So yeah, go over to them and speak to them and follow them on Twitter as well. Like, so they're really good at what they do, NFL and the college game. So that'll be out soon.
Yeah, excellent stuff with that, Rye. We've not read it yet, so we'll read it with interest as well. We'll see if any of those views differ from what you say on here. Right. Ken, quickly, he goes, because the Jaguars play in London most frequently, is that the most followed team in the UK? No, they're really not. I think people go to watch the team that plays against them more than anything. I don't know that many Jags fans over here. I don't know who in this modern day and age would be.
Horrible plastic team. Horrible
You don't come
plastic
from
team.
London, though. I feel like there's going to be a load of London-based fans for the Jags. I swear that every time I go round, there's loads of Jag stuff about in shops and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, their owner owns
It's
Fulham,
a
so there's a tie as well there.
It's like you're in Poundland, there's always something in there.
The Packers and
Along
Bears.
with Kevin Jenkins, yeah.
The Packers and Bears are big, but they're big in Ireland, so they've got fans here. But yeah, it's definitely not the Jags. And
so how much are we
hopefully-
giving up for Tevin Jenkins for him to be our swing tackle?
Matt, no. We've had a nice
Seventh
podcast.
round pick?
We've had a
Seventh
nice
round pick.
podcast tonight where we've all been nice to one another. Let's not start
Darren
arguments.
Powell and Dan Skipper. They can have Darren
Ooh.
Powell and Dan Skipper.
You know what? I agree with Rye. I'll trade all our three backups. I'll trade Nelson, Paolo, and Skipper for him. We'll do
Sorry,
that.
Darren Paolo, who beat Aiden Hutchinson today, he's a future star. What are we doing giving him away if some guy doesn't want to play football? What are you talking about?
Oh no.
Surely there's a Tim Boyle opportunity in Chicago.
All right, I've got a question for. What's your overreaction take from camp then? Everyone's going to become an all-pro as they're coming out of camp. What's your overreaction take from camp? Who's gonna win a Super Bowl single-handedly on their own or be a 5-time all-pro because of what they've done in camp?
As in, what is the hype we're believing most?
Or what do you believe in most? What's the hype you are buying into that is different from all the faux hype that's around at this time of year?
Interesting.
I'll go. Hutchinson's going to get 15 sacks first year, and he's going to be Defensive Player of the Year candidate. I don't think he's going to win Defensive Player of the Year, but I think he'll be in the conversation for NFL Defensive Player of the Year, not just rookie. And you have a look at how well he's doing in camp, and he is blowing up seasoned veterans at the tackle position that we believe are top 15 players. I mean, he's not even scratched the surface of what he could be. He's not the finished article, and despite what people have said, his ceiling is not who he is right now. He's got a lot to add in his game. So by the time you get 7-8 games in, assuming he remains healthy, his ceiling on sack numbers is so high, especially if the guy opposite him also performs. So if Charles Harris has a really good year, or if John Kaminsky has a really good year, or Julian Aquara, or Romeo when he comes back, if they do really well opposite him, Aiden could put up exceptional numbers.
You know what? If you told me that Aiden was going to get the Cade Cunningham treatment this year and get overlooked for Rookie of the Year, despite being the obvious guy for it, I'd believe you. I think Detroit just isn't liked when it comes to these awards, so I can see him getting the Cade treatment.
Sean Elliott will be the best safety on the team. And Tracy Walker, I think, will disappoint.
Ooh.
You guys, the torch has been lit. You're going to have to do better than that. That is a high bar. Deshaun Elliott's the guy. Anyone raise a Chris Board?
I mean,
I love Chris Board.
yeah.
No.
I can legitimately see a world where the Lions have. We talk about having potentially like a top 5 line. I think we'll have a top 3 running game.
Oh. Steve, this is on you, man. Here, this is on you, Steve. Overreaction from camp. What is it?
Shaken by Tom Wilkinson.
It's an overreaction, right? We can't be like, oh, I think Chris Board's going to play 400 snaps.
I think that Matt has gone too low on Hutchinson. I think Hutchinson would have over 15 sacks. The last Lions player to hit 15 sacks was Porsche in 1999, and I think Hutchinson will have 16 or more.
Wow. Over 15 sacks for Hutchinson from Steve, 15 from Matt. Chat, what do you think? Can 15 plus be done by Hutchinson this year? Good God.
That'll be the Lions sack record, and I think he will break the Lions sack record this year.
Wow.
I thought I was being generous at 11.
You know what? Ryan's Deshaun Elliott starter comment, just that's like timid now. I didn't think anyone was going to beat that. That's timid now. For me, I think Demetrius Taylor's going to be a starter by the end of the year. I'll give you that, with Aleem in the centre of that defensive line. People sleeping on him, and they really, really shouldn't be.
Sleeping on him is going to, be a problem for him getting off the line, to be honest.
Yeah.
Anyway.
DJ Chark, he will finish as in the top 10 in receiving yards. He is going to light shit up.
Okay. Right, we've got some good ones there. I like the answers to that. Hopefully that... Yeah.
How many Pro Bowlers on the roster this season?
Ooh.
4.
3.
Who are the 4, Ryan?
Sewell, Swift, Hutchinson, Ragnow.
Ooh.
Like that.
Tom?
If Swift made the Pro Bowl, that would be huge, because obviously the Pro Bowl is a popularity contest, and there are so many running backs that are bang average but still get a load of votes.
But if we have a top 3 running game, Tom, then you need Swift to be a Pro Bowler, right?
Craig Reynolds, he's rushing for 2,000 yards. What are you talking about? Yeah, I mean, yeah. Very true, actually. I guess he would have to be, so...
Right, so Twitch is outdoing you here, though I don't know how much by. So David Reinford goes, Will Harris will be a Pro Bowl corner. So yeah, we've got Will Harris as a Pro Bowl corner. So he says 10 interceptions. That's unlikely, but Pro Bowl corner, I'll take that.
Excuse me while I scream.
Ash says Anthony Pittman will win Defensive Player of the Year. Maybe a little bit high there, but if you're going for unrealistic ones, then Ash, you win hands down. 150 tackles and 10 sacks. Jesus. I tend to agree with Det Fanman here. The Kool-Aid might be a little rich in here, but hey ho. A couple more questions before we sort of wrap this up. Bruce Betterly asks, Harris over Okudah. So if Harris gets the starting job over Okudah, could you accept that? Or would you have issue? I mean, I guess it depends on how they do, but, if he gets it over them, how would you feel?
If he doesn't start as the starter, Harris, I'll be surprised at this point, just because Okudah is coming back from the injury. Like, I expect Harris to start. With the way they're talking about him, it would just be a surprise to me if he's not. I think they are blowing Okudah up, saying, look, you're still a part of this. And then they're going to come into and say, look, Will's done really well. You are still on this train. We believe in you as CB1, but it's going to take you a little bit of time to get back. If Will doesn't start, I'll be very, very surprised. And if he earns it, we have trust in this regime to get every other position right. Now, Will Harris has put together 3 years of tape which would say otherwise. But if they believe in him, I'd back this staff to get it right.
And we touched on it slightly earlier, but just to build on that, I think there was no one else you could really put at safety instead of him, especially going into last season. Whereas there are plenty of people you can put at corner. So if he does start, if he does get reps, he has really earned it. Whereas I don't think he earned anything in terms of starting at safety last year. Obviously, I'm exaggerating slightly, but really, who's going to take the reps away from him? There's plenty of other corners who can play.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd just be upset in general. But I guess if he earns it, he earns it. But I expect my 3rd overall pick to beat him out if he's going to do it. So, hey-ho with that. I missed one question earlier. James Burgess put in, this was all about the rumour to do with us trading for Cooper Rush for Quintez Cephas. I've not heard anything about this since. I don't think there's any legs to it, but, you know, one word answers. Would you do the deal? Cephas for Cooper Rush?
No.
No, not for me.
No. Getting a lot of shaked heads here and that. So, yep, James, that's your answer there. Nothing to it. Don't think we've heard anything from it since. He also goes, hope to catch the Lions at Wembley next season, don't we all? We're all praying. We were deprived last year. We were deprived, and hopefully they'll come back. Is there anything else that anyone wants to get in the show tonight? Obviously, we've covered a lot there. But yeah, is there anything
Speaking
else?
Speaking of QBs, my other hot take is Amon-Ra will throw a touchdown pass this year. They will use him like Tom Kennedy last year. There will be a trick play.
All right, last question. Which non-QB on Building on This with Ryan gets a touchdown throw this year? A touchdown pass from throwing. So Ryan says Amon-Ra will throw a touchdown pass. Who's the answer for the rest of the panel? Because we did a lot of trick plays last year.
Penei Sewell, I think, will catch one.
Why not Jack Fox? Why not Jack Fox?
We can do everything else.
Well, I mean, he has already completed a pass, right? And
Yep.
I mean, so if we know that our kickers aren't great from beyond 50, right? In difference to what we've had in the past. So if they're at the 42 and it's 4th and 2 and they're going to punt instead or something because they're not going for it for some stupid reason and it's a trick play and it's a pass and go for a touchdown. Because when you go for it on 4th and not go for it, when you go for a punt in that situation, they throw the kitchen sink at you. Why wouldn't you be able to score a touchdown from that position? So, yeah.
I mean, if we're talking about a non-QB throwing a touchdown pass, I mean, probably Tim Boyle's got a chance.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Oh dear.
It's a fair point.
All right, to finish this all off, because we've been sort of sidetracked now. Okay, make your combination. Non-QB thrower to non-receiving option. So like Fox to Sewell. What's your really wacky one?
CJ Moore? Because I'm thinking Jack Fox, gunner on the outside.
So Jack
CJ
Fox to
Moore.
CJ Moore.
Yeah.
Bobby Price. Woo!
Could be
Oh, no,
BP.
you've got to pick a thrower and a receiver who are both not part of the
Okay,
position.
Jack Fox, Bobby
Jack
Price.
Fox throwing, yeah.
Jack Fox to Bobby Price. Jack Fox to CJ Moore. Steve?
I'd like to see maybe Jamal Williams to Taylor Decker.
You could, because they do what's they called, the Titans do this, right? It's kind of goal line.
Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry and the little pop pass over the top.
Oh.
So DeAndre Swift's going to get the pass to touchdown.
Could be DeAndre
Goal
Swift
line.
to Taylor Decker or someone, yeah.
Right. I'm
In
gonna
a jumbo
go
set. Yeah.
Austin Seibert to Matt Nelson.
So you're picking someone
to a
not
big-
even on the roster at the end of all this. Okay.
Seibert
Right.
and Nelson are on the roster. Seibert's
Wait,
You think so? Hang
How's that
on.
going to work?
You think he's going to beat out Riley Patterson? Let's get into this.
No, let's not. Oh, hang on. I'm trying to think. But you know, won't Nelson come in sometimes on the field goal protection unit?
Yes,
He does his
6'6"
stuff.
man as well as
Yeah.
a tackle
But
too.
it'll be the holder, won't it, rather than the kicker? I mean, that would be amazing if the kicker, like, dummy kicked and then just scooped it up and threw
Oh
it
right,
back.
I'm thinking the holder. So who's the holder?
The
think
holder's
it's-
Jack Fox.
Fox, yeah.
All right. Well, Fox to Nelson then. Fox to Nelson. That is what I'm having there. So I think Ryan's had to leave us.
I was going to say, what a way to end it. Dreaming of a Fox to Nelson touchdowns. I am here for that.
Jack Fox to Matt Nelson. You heard it here first. When it goes down, the people are going to replay this clip and call me Nostradamus. So yeah, there we go. Oh right. Is there anything else anyone wants to get off the chest? Because I feel we have been, or I
just
been
wanna say-
advocating for a bit.
we're talking about all this cool stuff that might happen. The one thing that I'm just desperate to happen, because I'm just going to be flicking the middle finger up to so many Packers fans, is I want Akuda to intercept Rodgers. That would be just golden. I would love just to repeat some of the comments that have been made about Akuda by the Packers fans in the last 2 years, and to see Rodgers get picked by Akuda would be so sweet.
I would trade that to see Deshaun Watson's collarbone get broken several times, and after the play's over, just get kicked repeatedly in the head. Sorry, I know we don't really want to get into this right now, but I want to see him get obliterated. Well, and then when he's down, further punishment, like some sort of really bad kind of UFC style thing. Like, the man deserves absolutely nothing but derision and hate.
I already said I want to see Travis Jones Goldberg spear in first play of the Ravens.
No, see, that's too kind. That is absolutely too kind. I want to see a fucking
tell that to someone who's been on the end of a spear from Goldberg. I don't think they'll call that kind. That man can break your ribs very easily. So,
I want to see Mankind Hell in a Cell fall from the prick.
Oh, Jesus. Right.
Sorry. I have very strong feelings about this. I probably should not have.
Matt has come in with anger this evening. Cool Lions is in the chat. He's atted me and gone meatloaf. Oh, yes, I don't know what meatloaf is. I'm getting ribbed by this by the other pods I come on. We got asked the question whether we like meatloaf tacos or some of the other most the other day. I'm like, I don't know what meatloaf is.
But meatloaf is pretty simple, right?
I don't know.
It's just a loaf of meat.
That's what I thought it was, but apparently it's not.
But it is, though.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Right, well...
it's got a variety of other things to make it into what it is, but it's like ground meat with, like, some other things to make it in, and it's baked in a loaf, and then you kind of slice it like... It's not... I don't think it's dissimilar to us having, like, a bit of a crap beef roast, really.
Oh. Alright, well, fair enough.
Corned beef kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, when we're another reason to follow the Lions, but when we're hosting people at the Detroit Draft House in 2024, we'll have to do a British version of a meatloaf.
Oh no, we're gonna do sausage rolls, full English, all sorts. You're gonna be introduced to British cuisine at its finest. That'll be fire.
Cup of tea and a beer on arrival.
Cup of tea.
When I'm writing my NFL Scotland articles, I always like to put like a musical pun in the title. And I'm desperate to do one that's like, I would do anything for Jordan Love, but I wouldn't do that.
I swear you've done that. Have you not done that?
No, but I did say that when they finally cut Jordan Love, it's going to be Love don't live here anymore.
So surely the question to that is, when someone asks the offensive coordinator, are you going to put Jordan Love in? And then he goes, I'd do anything for Jordan Love, but I won't do that. That's the question there. You've got to have it anyhow.
When it comes to naming a starting quarterback, Love seems to be the hardest word. Yeah, we can get a few more of those in.
Goal Lines just puts it's like a hamburger in a loaf. We'll have to put it that way. Det Fan Man says, why skip the new running back before we leave? We did actually mention this. I don't know if you saw, Matt, but we have signed running back Justin Jackson from the Chargers. He's been back up there for 4 years now. He's only got 1,000 yards rushing in the league, I believe, and 500 receiving, but had 5,500 at Northwestern in college. Good receiver. Well, he's going to shake up the room. I think that signals to me that Bell's done. If they've bought another guy, and Bell's done and all the way out, so it's competition there. But it's going to be interesting.
For whom the bell tolls.
For who?
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll keep an eye on it, and we'll put.
Let's do this! Come on!
Wasn't this pod great before Matt came on, guys? It's just the tone's been lowered. The jokes and everything have just. Oh God, he's.
Oh no!
You there, Matt? I thought I'd upset him. Right. Is there anything else Lions-based that anyone wants to chat about tonight? Because our very loyal listener base has been very patient with us this evening, and we've been so nice about them and how they put up with us and that. But even I think we're stretching that a little too far at the minute. So, anything else?
I think we're into that kind of like nonsense stroke hysteria that happens at the end of a pod.
We are. But,
feels about right. Yeah.
It's been. I've enjoyed it. Had a lot of Lions chat and a lot of people in the chat with us. So again, I can't do nothing but thank all of you for being in there at the time. Let me just... Oh God, I've missed Twitch again. I'm so sorry. Ash says Fox to Bobby Price. I think that got taken beforehand, but for the pass and that. Ash says CJ Moore's not a gunner either, so he's personal protector.
True,
Someone must have got that
protector,
wrong. Yeah.
My favourite.
David Reinford, but did you talk about the video the Lions posted of Sewell blocking Hutch? I've not seen that yet. We will talk about that. We'll probably do it next week when we review training camp. We can do the whole thing as a thing. We can do it all as one big group then, and we can watch all the videos and everything. And Hash said it was released during recording anyhow. Big Area says, if you let me come, I'll bring all the eggs you can eat. We'll take that. We like our eggs here over in Britain, so yeah, we'll enjoy it. Right, okay. I think we're going to end this now for today because it's been fun, guys. I've loved doing this, and we'll be back next week. So it just remains for me to go through the socials. Is there anything else, Matt, you want to put in before we're done, or no? No. So
thanks for hosting, Ant. You've done a really good job standing in for our glorious leader.
Yeah, cheers, man. I appreciate you just
worries.
starting it. I mean, I was worried that I'd come back and you guys would be like, so should we start now? I'm just so glad you actually just like, screw it, he's not messaged, he can't message, we're going to go. So
hey,
I appreciate
man,
that.
there are more
Turn into a CFL podcast or something. Like we just go completely off the rails.
There are more important things sometimes, than this pod. We've all got things on, so it's absolutely fine. Don't mind one bit. Bruce Betterley says, I'll bring you guys a good meatloaf recipe. This is going to be fun. We should discuss an American-British cook-off at some point. That would be good fun with all you guys on there. So just
sounds like additional content for the YouTube at some point, along with our pro day. We'll do like a kind of cooking with Roar of the Lions.
What, Brits cooking American food? Like, make one of us has to make meatloaf and things. It's going to be a disaster.
You know what?
That's why it'd be good content.
That's a wonderful idea. If all of the Americans in the chat, if you want to suggest American foods for us to cook and make here, we'll try. That would make some fun content. I'm all up for that there. So yeah, at least we've got some good content of all this. Anyhow, right, I'm going to go through all the housekeeping before we're done. If you've got any last questions you want to get them quickly, because we're about there. So next podcasts, the Roar of the Lions College Football Podcast with me and Ryan will be back this week. It's either going to be Tuesday or Thursday because I've got to work Wednesday. We are carrying on our rundown of the conference previews for this year. We're going to be looking at the Mountain West, which is a very fun and very tough conference, so join us for that. That will be good fun. We are going to be back next week here on the main podcast. That'll be Monday, August 8th. We're going to do further training camp chat and again just this evening questions, little bits like that, so do come along and join us. That will be ever so much fun. In terms of our socials, you can find us all over. So on YouTube, you can find us at Roar of the Lions UK. On Twitch, you can find us at ROTL_UK. And once again, thank you to all of you who've resubscribed or you've liked us on Twitch. I gave you all a shout out at the front of the show, so hopefully you appreciate that there. And then for all the others, Twitter, Instagram, you can find us at ROTL_UK. On Facebook, you can find us on our page Roar of the Lions UK and our group Detroit Lions Fans UK, One Pride Worldwide. And of course, you can find us on our website www.roarofthelionsuk.com. There will be season previews and things dropping on there soon, so keep an eye out. There's some good writers on there, and there's going to be plenty of good to come. So thank you everyone who has joined this evening. We really, really appreciate it. I've had a real good blast with all you guys here today. And we shall see you again on Monday. So until then, just remains for me to thank the sexiest man in Scotland, Steve Collins, our brilliant Bristolian Matthew Turner, and our returning great Tom Wilkinson. And hopefully we'll see you again soon, Tom, because when you're not around, the place is not the same without you. So
just disappointed that we talked for 10 minutes about Iffy and Tom at no point said great length.
He deliberately didn't do that, I think.
Very disappointed.
I feel like
Tom.
he didn't do that. Matt would have.
I'm matured, what can I say?
It was all set up for you.
Oh, right. Thanks ever so much.
Maturity is overrated.
Yeah, well, thanks ever so much, guys. Enjoy your Monday evenings, and we